Welcome, everyone, to the EU Pro League regional playoffs. We are finally here. It has been a long journey to get to this point, but we're excited to bring this to you today. I am going to be Waltz. I'm going to be your host today, but I am joined by two of the best casters in the game. I am here with Jerry and Rio. How's it going, guys? What's going on?
I could not be more excited for this waltz. It's going to be an absolutely wild ride. Rio, how are you feeling about this?
Oh, I am so excited. I am ready for explosions. I'm ready for chaos and just destruction and everything that the finals brings for us. And it's all happening today. So I'm hyped and ready.
It is going to
All
be
right.
a really interesting day. But what's at stake today, Jerry? Let us know what's going on.
That's a good question, Waltz. So, we have the best of EU right here today, and by the end of the day, we will have crowned a EU Pro Hubs champion. So, it's the one of the most important things that we are doing here over these many weeks. We're going to have all sorts of other things going on though, because this is not everything that is at stake. These teams will have one eye on the championships next weekend. So Watts, could you explain a little bit about how this bracket, this incredible tournament, is also going to be part of a qualification for that one?
Absolutely. So if you've been following along with the Pro League so far, we've been playing a lot of cash out games, about 190 cash out games so far in the course of our group stages. And the teams have earned a lot of points. And so right now, our top two teams from group stages are already qualified to the championships when the best EU teams are going to go up against the best NA teams. Like you said, that's what's at stake here today. So two teams are already guaranteed to go through, but there's still 4 slots left to make it to that interregional championships. And that's really where people want to be, because that's when you start getting into the big guns. That's when you start actually getting into the money prize pool that we have keeps moving up and up thanks to people like Crash that keep donating. So that's the big thing we need to be looking at is you have to go far enough. You're going to get points based on how far you go in the playoffs, how many games you win, and if you can get up to the second, third, even first potentially. And if you are able to, teams that might be in 6th or 7th place and aren't going to go through to the championships, here's where they finally have a chance to prove that they're better than what they showed in the group stages, and they can make their way and punch their ticket to the grand finals.
Yeah, that's really exciting. And one of the things that we were talking about before we got started was the fact that we are losing 6 teams today on the EU side. So these stakes are really high, and really some of these teams that have made it so far, some of them can go down in one loss. So the stakes are really quite wild, and I'm just super excited to see how it all kind of plays out. Who's going to be on top? Who's going to end up kind of mixing up this bracket? And I think it's important to also point out that like this is a complete change in game mode. Like we were in a mode where we had 4 teams all battling it out in just utter chaos and just uncontrolled mayhem, basically. And now we're slowing things down. We're going to a completely different format where it's basically just 3v3. It's final round, so it's where everybody is just kind of slowing things down. So that's something that I'm looking forward to today.
Yeah. Now, we do have some map bans coming in for our first match, but first, if we can take a quick look at the bracket, just so we can show people what it's going to look like today, and we'll take a look at what is our first match that we're going to be playing today, Jerry.
Well, we've got Aimers Blue versus Crutches. That is a matchup in the bottom of the quarterfinals bracket. Now, interestingly, we have a double elimination system in place for this playoffs bracket, and you can see we have 12 teams. All 12 teams that were participating in EU are here, and their position in this bracket is determined by their seedings from that group stage. So Aimers Blue came second, so they get the benefit of coming up against the 7th place team of Crutches. And Aimers Red at the top there, you can see they came first, so Divine Dead, who just barely scraped in to that top 8 slot on the last day of groups, have to face off against the toughest team out of the bunch of them. On the bottom half of the screen, you can see Zesties, NCHX, Godlike Gamer, and Resit. They are all on the precipice of being knocked out. That is what 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th position does to you after the group stage. All of these lower bracket matches, the ones with the asterisks after them, are best of ones. So really ruthless. You only have that one life to survive and see if you can make a heroic run through to the grand final. But of course you will be getting points along the way, so it's worth sticking on as far as you can no matter what. Here we have a look at the teams for our first match, Aimers Blue and Crutches. Rio, why don't you take us through these guys?
Sure. So Amers Blue, we have Hawk Tua, Noah X, and Roma, and this is a pretty strong lineup. Currently, they're in the second standing with a lot of points, a lot of kills, and look at that KD over 2.4. That is a lot. And first place wins, they had 15. So looking at the opposite side of things, we have the Crutches, which is Basics, Bronx, Wurzel, and Yoip. So I'm sure that one of them is a sub. Not sure who's going to be here today, but we'll find out here shortly. But they're in 7th, and slightly less points, slightly less KDA, and really only 7 first place wins. But these stats can be kind of deceiving. I really think so, because this is moving into a different format that we were just talking about. So I don't know how this is going to mix up. We might see it where the Crutches just completely overtake Amers Blue, but I think that's all of the excitement, and we're going to find out real soon who is going to be, turning it up for this next match.
Absolutely, we will. And we have our map band, so we should be getting that loaded in just a second here. Amers getting the first pick here because of their higher seed. As we get these loading in, looks like our first map is going to be Bernal, followed up by our second and third maps. Second map picked up by Crutches, which is going to be Las Vegas. And then our third map, the decider, going to be Fortune Stadium. Any thoughts on this one from you, Jerry?
It's a very exciting set of maps. I love all of them, particularly if we do get to that final map. I know Rio will be very happy. I love how we just professionally brushed over the name of the heavy on Amers Blue. Respect to you there, Rio, for not even giggling. That is Reimke, by the way. In case anyone was wondering, he's just changed his name for whatever reason. Thinks it's funny, I guess. His replacement? I can see Reimke in the call. Well, whatever. We're seeing what happens. Reimke and Hoxo are apparently two different people. But yeah, here we go. Let's just have another quick look at these before I'm sure we're getting ready to hop into the game fairly shortly, Walt.
Oh yeah, we are going to be getting into our game in just a few moments. We have the teams pretty much ready to go, and we're going to get things started. So action's about to get going. We have a lot of really exciting matches for you. There's definitely going to be a lot. We can't view every single match, unfortunately. There's too much to get through, but we are hoping to stream as much as possible on some other B streams. We have the Italian stream doing a lot of work on the other side as well. We're going to be getting into our match in just a second here, guys. So I will be leaving you here. I'm going to be handing you off to the beautiful, talented faces of Jerry and Rio. We're jumping into map number 1. Hope everyone enjoys.
Yes,
thank you very much. There we go. And that is the danger of working in a 3 across oceans. But, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Waltz, I'm very excited to see him back later because he's got some interesting surprises for us. And, yeah, let's just say we're stepping things up a notch over here at Pro Hubs. So, yeah, lots to look forward to. Rio, I can hear the faint cheers of a lobby starting in the background.
I can as well, and everybody there sounds excited, and I hope that you viewers at home are just as excited as we get started on the quarterfinals. Guys, if you're a fan of Amers Blue, I want to see it in chat. If you're a fan of the Crutches, I also want to see it in chat. If you don't know who these teams are, well, pick one. There's a 50-50 chance that your team ends up winning, so root for them. Let's get excited. This is Bernal. This is a great proving grounds for both of these teams.
That it is. And as we get into things, of course, Amers Blue in orange, Crutches in pink, as you've said. And Bernal, a very interesting map. Lots of lateral long angles, but Reimke opting for that sledge, which we've seen so popular already. A kill from Yoip onto Roma. That Cerberus proving dangerous as it has during the season. Oh no, Amers Blue really getting split up here, and Noah X lucky to get away with his life, taking down Bronx, but they are in a real pickle here. A great finish off their trade as we get down to now 1 versus 1, whereas I'm going in close, and he just has a tiny bit more HP. That Shack making a huge difference as the close range gunfight favors him.
Yeah, that was wild, and I can't believe that the Amers Blue have already been wiped. We've already seen the first team wipe, and it's not the way that I expected this to go. I mean, if we looked at the stats, it seems like Amers Blue would have been the dominating team, but hey, this is how everything mixes up in the final round. So, Vault 1 has finally been tapped. It will be the Crutches. Amers Blue have respawned, and they will be coming up very shortly. They have spawned relatively close, so this clash will happen in just a second. we see as Roma and Renki start their approach. They are followed closely by Noah, their medium. They have a dome shield in hand. There's a sledgehammer in hand by Ramki as well. So he's going to have to get right up in there, right in their faces, and find some bonks if he can do it. There he goes, breaking through the roof, wanting to drop down, finding some holes. It looks like an RPG went off directly on him. He pulls him in with the winch claw, but they get lock bolted in. They are just dangling down right now. Do you see that? I see an explosion going off, and this time the crutches have been wiped. That was a quick turnaround. Aimers Blue need to find their footing to really kind of set up and make sure that they can hold this from the crutches.
Well, I do question going in close against Reimke. Honestly, especially with him lock bolted, you can play distance there, but of course, the other moving parts, the forces on Aimers Blue, you've got Noah, you've got Roma. Very adept players, and now we have another engage here. Looks like we're going to have a good few fights over this cash out, as that is quite a close spawn coming in for crutches. They will be happy about that. Getting underneath here. It looks like they're going for an old-fashioned jump pad, but the high ground is still held by Aimers Blue, and that could be devastating. Bronx finding Noah X, but Renka finds his sledge and gets the kill onto Yoip. Another trade, and we have the 1 versus 1 coming up, but Renka is already halfway through sticking this res, and all they have to do is get up high, try and find this last player. Oh, he's hiding, but he hasn't found his position. He does get the res. That could be huge. Miss winch. Out comes the RPG. It's not been reloaded, though. This is going to cost Renka. They are 3 up, though, and he does land a lot of damage. Roma finishing blow onto that opposition heavy, and once again, it's now a 3 versus 1. Really strong position here for Aimers Blue. That res will come through, though, from crutches, and they get to have a second try.
Yeah, they will have one more try, absolutely, on this
reset.
First cash out. And there they go. Here comes the push. They need to get on it. The time is ticking down, and I don't think they have enough time. Watching Roma as he dashes away from the fight. Probably the smart move. Bought himself just a little bit of time for his whole team. Now he's coming back around. Spots out Yoip and just gets him immediately. Spots out the second one and is on the chase. Can he get it? He brought him down very low, trying to find the last little bit of tickle damage. Can he find it? It's a chase. He's right on top of each other. But his teammate ended up helping him out, and Bronx goes down. And they are getting the res, so it will be Aimers Blue that took the cash and will make their way to the next vault.
And that's 3 for 3 when it comes to team wipes for Aimers Blue. Really dominating in this match so far. Crutches already feeling the burn. They will be back in momentarily, but yeah, that's a real statement first cash out for Aimers Blue. Look at the points as well. The kills very evenly spread across the 3 players. We like to see it. It means everyone's pitching in, everyone's getting their frags. Finally contact as they spot each other. Of course, Reimke, it's in his nature to want to bait them forward. There's a great map for the sledge. Plenty of cover, plenty of buildings, small short-range engagements that you can lean into as long as you're avoiding those rooftops. And the chase is on.
Yeah, it is a chase right now, but it looks like Roma is just stopping them in their tracks. He gets down 29 HP and has to dip out of there, decides to regroup with his team, goes invis, they break that god zip, which is a good thing to do, and now the cash out is getting started. This is cash out C. They've got to make their setup right now. That goo didn't do anything that they had wanted, but there is the thermal vision as well, so he's got it in hand. He's ready to spot these people out, maybe have some smoke ready as well, but things have really slowed down here, Jerry, as his next push gets ready.
It really is an excellent scouting tool. I am intrigued by the loadout that Roma is running. It's, you've got that vanishing bomb as a kind of budget invis, and he's running dash. This is a very sneaky move that Crutches are attempting to pull off. Sneaking up the bell tower. Can they Quasimodo their way out of this? No. Noah X is already in position, well away. It feels like all of that sneaking has got them a decent bit of high ground, but now they still have to fight at range. The jump pad set up on the goo will be enough to engage very close, but the winch says, no, you're coming in on my terms. Reimke, though, does take out Wurzal. Noah X finding Yoip, and this is working out quite nicely for Aimers Blue, the 2 versus 1, as they do get up their teammate as well. In fact, no, that's a wipe. It's so quick, I missed it.
Yeah, it is quick. They all just kind of swarm on them. And you know what? This is not looking great for the Crutches. They have one more push potentially. It depends on where the spawn gods decide that they want to respawn this team. And we're about to find out. I don't see them just yet. The fear of them spawning farther away.
Where are they?
is a little bit daunting.
Oh, it's not bad.
They're going to have one push here. It's all going to come down to this. We're seeing Yoip as he makes the advance. There is the DMAT. He's going to throw some goo down to try and buy himself some time, but they're dying left and right. It's all down to Bronx. There's the nullifier, and the Heavy is just chasing and being invis, but that is going to be a wipe, and that is going to be the game. Pretty convincing win from Aimers Blue.
Wow, no kiting necessary there from Aimers Blue. They didn't need to play the time. They just dove straight on top of it. That sledge doing so much damage as it did all game long. And I'm really curious about the scoreboard. I feel like we had even kills across the board. Almost 7, 6, and 5 there from Noah, Remke, and Roma. So yeah, a fantastic effort put in by them. I do wonder if Vegas is going to make any difference to Crutch's hopes, honestly, Rio.
I think that it could. Main thing being is that, Vegas kind of got that rework. It's not as kind of claustrophobic. It could be their opportunity to kind of go against that sledge. There's a little more open areas now. Bernal is super leans into the sledge. I don't think Vegas does as much. It still does, but I don't think as much. So I think that might be their advantage because, yeah, looking at all of their teams, they had a really nice unison, and that sledge was scary. They did a lot of damage, but also looking at kind of the scoreboard, Yoip only got 900 damage. A little bit kind of lacking and not what I expected, honestly.
No, but you can't point the finger at any one person when it's a devastating loss like that, everyone really was lacking in the kills department, whether, it came to securing those kills or what have you. And also, you look at Yoip, he got the most revives, so he's at least picking up the slack in some regard. But yeah, we are clutching at straws here, quite literally, because... it is difficult to say. But yeah, Aimers Blue, we would have expected them coming into this game to dominate. And that's exactly what they have done so far, Rio.
Yeah, they have done it, and there's a reason that they've made it so far up the leaderboard in the other mode, Cash Out, but it's kind of refreshing to see that a team can be balanced in 2 modes. I've brought this up before in, I'm not aware of a single game where there's 2 competitive modes, basically, that you go from one to another, and chat, if there is, let me know, because I would be interested to see how that works out, but it's wild. It's like we're playing 2 different games, and now we're switching over to this one, so I think we're loading in. I heard the coins get started. I hear the crowd. We're going to be getting started on Vegas. Do you think that the Crutches have a chance here, Jerry?
I've got to be honest. I think they have a chance, but it's slim. It's a real slim chance. The way that Aimers Blue are playing, the way that they've played all season long, it's been impressive. I think they're a team that don't drop off when it comes to 3 versus 3s. There are teams that might struggle more in the less chaotic environment, but they are so locked in from what I've seen. It's a pretty devastating team, quite honestly. I'm really excited as well by Roma, and just the fact that this Vanishing Bomb is being brought a little bit more. We didn't see too much of it in the group stage. It was, an option that some teams decided to run with. But particularly when you're going to be going into a 3v3, getting your whole team invisible can be so incredible as an engage tool.
Yep, and we see the engagement already starting here. This is what we like to call kind of a rooftop fight. We see that the Crutches are on the Mega Dome, and they are just beaming their shots off and trying to find anybody from Aimers Blue. But this is Roma right now. He's trying to make sure that his team has a good passage and safe passage at that. They were able to just dip in and dive out of there from that gateway, get this cash out started, and completely left the Crutches trying to find their other Crutch to move back towards Cash Out B. Cash Out B is getting started, and Noah has moved to the top of the roof. This is a really strong spot to be in because they can just kind of demat down below, and I don't even think the Crutches know this. They do. They demat down, doing a little ice fishing, spots them out, and forces the Crutches to regroup.
Expert positioning all round from Aimers Blue, and finally we get a fight as plenty of Crutches health bars looking pretty low, but that is a win for Bronx in his light v light 1v1, and now Roma another fight out of the fight for a short period of time. Everyone low besides him. He's probably the one to keep an eye on, as he could try and pick off a few more people, but of course this gateway causing some issues. The res is being stuck though. Remke up, and now Noah X is going to be up very shortly. Just has to dive out of contention there. Yoip dropping back down. The steal is being attempted here by Bronx, but what an angle for Roma. He will be able to force him off, and we've about halfway through this point. Bronx does find a kill, and Roma trades it back. This is so back and forth, Rio.
Yeah, this is wild, and I can't believe it's still going on. There hasn't been a team wipe as Roma is still staying alive on a sliver of health. Now it's Ramke that's barely alive, but he goes down, and Roma is just the movement machine as he's dipping in and out. Oh, and he gets an elbow. Finally getting a team wipe, and he's even going to go for the res before he gets the steal because he is that confident that they were able to get it and get the steal. Wild play from Amers Blue, and I think we have a replay. Let's take a look.
We get to see this brilliant moment as Roma dives in, identifies the threat, trusts that NoahX has Yoip, and goes straight at the heavy. Really nice call there from Roma to dump the entire mag into the heavy. Makes a big difference, that target selection. You know, they're not focus firing there. They just know the priority targets that they all need to go for in the heat of the moment. And that's something you can't teach, really. It's just experience.
Yeah, that was just wild. And honestly, production, that replay was amazing. Kudos to you guys. And I hopefully the chat is enjoying it as well. But let's get this next fight started. These teams are eager, I can tell. And I think the Crutches want to show that they can get one cash out throughout this matchup. And I think that they can. Let's root for them. Let's see what they can do. This cash out, this next vault has been tapped. They are in control of it. I see a gateway going down, so they will be able to get this started, but Jerry, will they be able to hold it?
Use this gateway.
It's a good question. I can't answer it. We just have to wait and see, as per usual. Amers Blue holding on to that high ground. They want to engage cleanly here, trying to get a whiff of Crutches, but I think Crutches are playing this smart. They're playing as low as possible. They're just looking to stall the timer a little bit. Amers Blue get fed up of waiting, come down to the top, and they are, for all intents and purposes, in control of the cash out right now. Crutches happy to keep them at arm's length and try and wait for a clean fight. Of course, Amers Blue can start tapping that cash out and bait them in. Here comes the Invis bomb that Bronx is also running. They will hear that. The steal was successful. Now they have to try and find them, but Amers Blue were preset with that gateway. They were very ready to go in. Let's see what Bronx finds on the other end. Is it his teammates getting mullered? Yes, it is. Remco was waiting with a sledgehammer, but Bronx puts a couple of buckshots in his back, and the second onto Roma. NoahX does find the defib onto the heavy, but of course, that revived sickness in the open like this, he does have to find some sledgehammer hits to make value come good. Yoip gets the res onto Wurazao, and it's a 3 versus 2 here. They stick another res onto Roma, and it's a 3 versus 3 again. This back and forth. But oh, Remka finds someone on the end of his hook. Wurazao taken out as well. Amers Blue have swung this round. This is still their cash out, and it is a wipe again for the second seeded team.
Oh man, this must be so hard for the Crutches because they're playing well. Like, I really am watching them. Their lights are popping off, and it seems like they're doing most everything correct. It's just coming down to these really intense back and forth, and I think that it's mainly just NoahX is kind of getting in there at the same time, at the right time, getting the reses off, and you can see
Is that
kind of
time?
the team play and the timing just seemed just a little bit more on point.
No
and
zip.
there is the spawn, and I don't
a
think
rough
that they're
spawn.
gonna have enough time as this cash out slowly ticks down. Yoip trying to find somebody, anybody to hold on to as the round ends, and we're watching as the Amers Blue do their emotes. Very well deserved, pretty convincing performance. Amers Blue is quite terrifying, if I say so myself.
Bet they are. Not a single cash out secured by Crutches there. And that's not to say they played badly. That's just to say that Amers Blue really did play fantastically well in that game. But look at the kills across this game. 4, 2, and 4. About half the total frags that we saw from Bernal. So really very few fights happening at all. I mean, that's exemplified by the fact that we only had one fight come to fruition on that final cash out. It's quite a long drawn out one with plenty of revives on both sides, but it was just the one fight. So yeah, that's all it can come down to sometimes in 3v3s. If you time it right, if you position yourself well, Amers Blue really did just know exactly how to play around with Crutches. They were toying with them by the end.
Toying with them, yeah, I definitely felt that. I was really hopeful that the Crutches were going to get us one cash out. They had control of that last one. I thought they were going to be able to get it and bring us into just a little bit longer of a match, but unfortunately, that is how it plays out. So the Crutches did not find their footing in this one, but it really was quite tough. And look at the kills too. Roma on 5 and Noah on 2, but he had 8 assists in there. So I talked a little bit about how just it seems like they have a good team team play. And yeah, I think that's what I saw. And Waltz is back. So Waltz, why don't you tell us about what we just saw?
Yeah, I think that was a clash of honestly two really impressive teams. I was very impressed by their ability to move as a unit from both teams. Obviously, Amers were definitely the superior team there. I think that came down to the execution in the minute. With the fight, the first fight there on Vegas, the first cash out was a beautiful moment for me, where they ended up in close combat with Rame on that sledge, and they had a gateway prepped so they can just escape. The entire team played so close. Even though their initial aggression onto the roof did not work out, they had an immediate getaway strategy, and it actually ended up making that fight something that started as a 3 versus 1. They made it out, they delayed the fight, and they almost won. It came down to a 1 versus 1 there right at the end. They just couldn't quite pull it off. Probably the closest fight they've had the entire series so far, and it was just really impressive. I would love to see Crutches either continuing to play. Hopefully, they can make it further in the lower bracket, and or maybe we see them in future seasons, because I think the team has a lot of strength behind them. Because they actually, even though it didn't quite work out for them, they were really holding a candle for a long time.
Absolutely. That's pretty much what I saw as well. And I think that's a good way of breaking it down. I don't know if they will make it through the lower bracket, but I'm kind of rooting for them. And if not, guys, this isn't the only season that we're doing. So they will have another chance to get back in here as well as other teams. So there is a lot of potential and a lot of promise coming in from that team. But Amers Blue just kind of blew the water away and just kind of dominated. Yeah. Jerry, do you have any thoughts on what we just saw?
I think it was, yeah, a domination from one team against another. But like Walt said, it was a good match to watch. And that said, it was, of course, a quick match. 2 Swift, 2
Yeah.
zeros means that Amos Blue are the first team to book a spot in the semi-finals. It's not all over for Crutches, though. We can see Crutches, they have dropped down into that lower bracket. Only one more chance. And, of course, those are best of ones. So they're up against the Zesties, which is an interesting matchup there, because the Zesties were... It was a surprise to me to see them drop into that lower bracket on the last day. These are two very evenly matched teams. You know, they were mostly swapping around between that sort of 7th and 8th position between themselves during the season. So we're obviously not going to get to see every single match that takes place today. And there are going to be matches in the quarterfinals that are only just going to their third map right now. It's also worth mentioning, while we're looking at this bracket, that Recit have decided to back out of the tournament. So whoever happens to get matched up against them in that first round of the lower bracket will just get a quick bye to the next round.
Yeah, unsurprised. Not overly surprising. I know that they did not have a lot of success in the group stages. So makes sense that maybe they would prefer to, instead of just playing a best of one here and potentially kind of get knocked out again, they're just gonna rest back, kind of relax a little bit, maybe regroup for season 0. But a huge shout out. I've said it before. I'll say it again. A huge shout out to Resit for coming back day after day after day and never putting up any complaints. So a lot, just class act, every one of those guys, and really appreciate them. But that does mean that we have to kind of consider some of these other matchups, because obviously this one ended up being a 2-0. Some of the other ones might not be a 2-0. So one thing, do we have the overall standings of the group of the group stages for the bracket potentially, that we can take a look at as we're about to go into a break. So we'll take a look at that before our break. But I just kind of want to get a feel for some of these future matchups that we might be looking at. As you know, we're looking at some of the, within the bracket. There's definitely some interesting lineups. Are there any matchups that you guys are particularly thinking could get really spicy here?
Ooh. Gungala versus the Burnt Nuggets would be very interesting. I think that those are pretty well balanced teams. I have no idea which way that would go. Saints 1 versus the Gamblers too. Both of those really good teams. I don't know. I don't have any prediction.
I mean, Saints 1 versus Gamblers, they were separated by exactly 200 points, which sounds like a lot. It really isn't many in the grand scheme of things in this table. We have 4th and 5th positions. So on paper, that should be the closest game. I do think Ungala Burnt Nuggets, though, equally as close. Like, they similar point tallies between the two of them. And yeah, they really do stand out as kind of closely matched teams. We did pick one of the slightly more mismatched games to start us off. We wanted to get an eye on Aimers Blue, see how they were doing to begin with. But of course, it goes without saying that the games will get better as we go along throughout the day.
Absolutely, they will. And yeah, I think a real point to this is the EU region, honestly, was very, very close. A lot of these teams, even throughout all of the cash out games we played, the point tallies were pretty close to each other. There's a lot of really close, really talented teams in this region. So we have more games for you guys. We're going to get to that. We are going to cut to a short break. So we'll be back in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere because there's more finals coming right up.
This is everything, Mickey. They need to get there in time. They do. They stop the steal. 50 reload. He's able to do it before you get that super. Oh, the OPG on the scalper.
BMO absolutely beaming right now, finishing off the rest of the team.
Lightly over to the sideline here. The gateway has been placed. They come up from above.
Blake Commit doing so much, just controlling this team fight.
At this point, you have it. You've got it done.
There's no way.
He dashes around. Look at the movement.
Aim point taking down a lot of players there. Great use of the goo gun. Oh, unbelievable techers.
Gangala, they try to jump in. Oh, they do. The team that hits.
Try and go for the steal, and the winch is huge. It doesn't work out though.
He can't do anything yet. No, he still takes it. One versus three.
This isn't just a game. This is TNT. Welcome to the jungle and welcome to 8 Squad's Thursday Night Throwdown.
Featuring the game's top talent, pick up games where chimps become champions.
Thursday nights 8 to 10 p.m. every week, only on 8 Squad. Catch us live on air on Twitch at twitch.tv/8squadorg.
In the world of sports, every second counts. Every move matters. That's where a Spooze comes in, the sports beverage designed for champions. With a Spooze, it's simple as pop, pour, perform. Packed with electrolytes and essential nutrients to keep you hydrated and energized, Spooze is your go-to drink for peak performance. Whether you're just carrying the vault or securing the winning cash out, Spooze is there to fuel your victory. Its unique formula is scientifically designed to boost your stamina and focus. Spooze, for those who dare to excel. Pop, pour, perform.
The real world can be unfriendly, misleading, confusing. But your world doesn't have to be. Reality Shield will protect you, cutting out the noise, making the world perfect. We do not censor. We cultivate. Engimo.
It's showtime!
That strange thought you just had, where did it come from? And was it even yours? Our new Series 2000 effectively suppresses third-party influence and eccentricity, outperforming our competitors within the standard deviation of conformity. With the Series 2000, your mind stays in control. Via, we as one.
the stars. Distant, watching. When will they arrive? Will your family be disintegrated first or last? Will your family dog become their leader? With Holtau's alien invasion insurance, you don't have to worry. Alto, we got your back.
Absorbe ce que c'est. Monde, monde, pour misérable et fortuné. Absorbe ce que tu désires devenir, c'est ce que tu es. Alors, absorbe, absorbe. The life giver, the sun, always on, the source of everything that is good. But can it be trusted? Holtau's Sun Insurance will have you covered if the unimaginable happens and the light goes out. Holtau, brighter than ever.
All right, everyone, welcome back. We are about to get into some more matches in the Pro League regional playoffs for EU. We already got to see a match between Aimers and Crutches, which we are going to break down in just a second, which is going to be exciting for. I am joined, as always, again by Jerry and Rio. We have some more exciting matches for you guys, but like I just mentioned, we actually are going to break down one of the fights in that last match, and I'm excited for it because, as you mentioned, Jerry, it was a little bit closer than I think people thought than the score line maybe showed it.
Yeah, it was a really tight one. And Waltz not only is our kind of host for today, but also the analyst. So he's been cooking this up in the background. Why don't you take us through this, Waltz?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I was really excited as we walked through here is we had this moment where all the teams, they did a great job on the side of Aimers, who are here in orange, of setting up on the high ground. And they were in a very dominant position already by the start of the match. They were all bundled up. You're going to see this consistently as we look through the rest of this replay. They're going to be always staying in a very tight-knit circle. You're never going to see them very far apart from each other. Crutches here in the pink made this jump up, and immediately bubble goes down. RPG is completely useless. So as we move forward, now they're in close range with a sledge. Immediately, one of them is going to go down. They're going to lose a second in about just a second. They're about to lose their second. And this is where the big moment that I want to highlight. Bronx did this several times, and this is really key. Drops a gateway as soon as he gets into melee range of that sledge. He knows, even with the double barrel, he uses both shots. He has to immediately bail, and that's going to take him way out to the side of the fight. You're going to see Yoip as well drop out of that and just get really far away as soon as they can, because they know that going through there, that's not something that Rain wants to do.
Yeah, no, I remember this play exactly. And yeah, getting out of a fight is so critical. And I think you broke it down perfectly, Walt, because just kind of knowing when to leave, knowing when to kind of take your loss and go away and not go for a team wipe, make sure that you kind of your whole team can get back. It's just so critical and can really turn an entire fight.
Yeah. And that's the beautiful part about this is by the time we get to this point in the match, this went from a 3 versus 2 that with both sides of the pink members of Crutches here being very, very low. Now it's a 2 versus 2 and the steal is beginning. We see on the high ground here, they're just about to get a res. So once again, all 3 members of Aimers incredibly close together. Not a lot of space between them. They're playing close and they just got a revive. So as the fight continues, we see them dropping down and the steal is going to successfully go through. At this point, we've also delayed the fight long enough that first death is they're already coined in. So once again, everybody is back up and fighting. Even though it didn't pan out for them at the end of the day, that's the sort of stuff I was really impressed from Crutches by, is just their ability to disengage and then re-engage as a unit. And that's something we really look for in these teams.
They were very impressive in this regard. And I love that you're able to talk us through that with the telestration there, Walt. Thank you very much for that. So, the grand scheme of things was, despite how well they managed to sort of avoid confrontation there with that gateway from the sledgehammer, they maybe just allowed Aimers Blue a little bit too long to recuperate each and every time. And keeping tightly knit, it really does show that, that sledgehammer can be a viable pick in this meta at the moment if you have the range to support it and to back it up. But that was looking to the past. Let's have a look to the future now. We have our next games lining up. All of our quarterfinals have been completed now. So maybe we should take a look at the bracket to catch ourselves up, Rio, and see just who made it through and who has been thrown down into the crocodile swamp of the lower bracket.
Yep, so it looks like Aimers Red went up against Divine Dead and did not, and it looks like Aimers Red came out of it, so they will be Aimers Red versus the Gamblers. And also in the semifinals, it looks like the Burnt Nuggets beat out Gungala, so it will be Aimers Blue versus the Burnt Nuggets. So those are some real interesting matchups. Semifinals is going to be wild, but we did have some teams also drop down into the lower brackets. So it looks like the Zesties will be going against CRT. What is CRT? Dropping
Crutches.
Ah, okay. Yeah. So the Crutches and Zesties, the Gungala versus NTHX, and Saints 1 versus the
Godlike Gamer. Yeah,
Godlike Gamer. So it's just going to be wild. It's going to be an interesting bracket as we kind of move forward through it. But I think that we're going to be streaming the semifinals up next, right?
Yeah, we are going to be looking in towards Aimers Red versus Gamblers. Not a matchup that I probably would have guessed, honestly. I honestly did expect Saints 1 to move forward. Not that Gamblers are not fantastic players, but I think we expected a little bit more coming out of Saints 1. It's just not. It was a 2-1. It was a very close matchup. But that difference, Gamblers definitely coming out and surprising me. So we're gonna have to see what sort of stats they can put up in this match against Aimers Red, because this is going to be a bit of an uphill battle for them. Aimers Red, one of our top 2 teams. You can see by the stats here as well. First versus fifth. Kind of break this down for us, Jerry. What are we looking at here, and what are you expecting from these 2 teams?
Well, it's difficult to say that we expect anything less than a victory from Aimers Red, but there is a bit of an asterisk over this entire kind of prediction of mine, which is that both of the lights that you see listed, both Carnifex and Ferios, are unavailable today, and we have instead, for Aimers Red competing for the EU playoffs, the whole of it, is Rubinski. So they do have a light sub, which does give Gamblers maybe a little bit more of a chance this time around. And if you look at the average cash that they manage throughout the whole of the season, these 2 teams are actually, almost level pegging when it comes to playing the objective smartly. So I wouldn't say that it's entirely out of the reach of Gamblers, who will be most likely Devil's Work, Follin, and Kiriki today, their standard lineup, to try and overturn this. And it's not, exactly a David versus Goliath. That would be maybe putting it, that's doing a discredit to Gamblers. But I don't know, who's bigger than David? Like, just a large man, like a really tall guy, and Goliath.
Yeah.
Okay, that is a way of putting it for sure. I think that the Gamblers have a little bit more of an uphill battle, but I think that we've broken it down and really kind of shown that I don't think that it's going to be the be all end all. I think that the Gamblers are going to be able to put up quite a good fight against Aimers Red. We did see them clash several times in the last in the bracket. Before this is kind of leading up to these matches, so it's going to be really interesting to see if they're able to kind of deal with this new mode, this new format, and kind of how they play together. I think one of the things that we saw really well that we talked about was Aimers Blue, was the fact that they just play so close together. And I'm curious if Aimers Red does the same thing. I think that they do, but it's been a little bit, so it'll be really refreshing and interesting to see.
Yeah, and this is definitely one of the things that we've seen a lot with the EU teams. And once we get into the cross regionals between EU versus NA, that's something that we'll see a lot more of as well. Is how do these different play styles actually affect each other? And we talked about this a lot. Rio, you and I talked about this on the live episode of the Vault we did the other day as well. That EU really likes to be very measured in their approach. They're very thoughtful. They're very strategic in how they approach. They don't just run at you. And so we saw that in the last match. I think we're going to see this one as well, especially with Telco's team here, with the Aimers coming in, because Telco, a very storied player in the scene and very, very good at shot calling. He understands how to read the match. He knows where to send his team. You can expect a team to do really, really well in those cases. But it looks like we do have our map picks coming in. Again, we are going to be on Bernal, and apparently becoming a very consistent pick. Fortune Stadium, not a decider map this time. And finally, Skyway is going to be our final match here. So a bit of maybe a close quarters match, and then maybe kind of a bit of both, and then a bit of a long range map with Skyway Stadium. At least that's how I would read it. How would you read this one, Rio?
Ooh,
He's going to read it very happily because Fortune is guaranteed.
Yeah, Fortune's guaranteed. I love it. I think that it's one of the best maps in the game, and I think following Bernal, it's an interesting pick. I think that, we mentioned this before, that Bernal is very unique in the fact that it doesn't have a lot of verticality like some of these other maps have. So it's just unique, and yeah, I don't know what to expect, but I really think that we will most likely see it go to Skyway Stadium. So I think there's a lot to look forward to, and hopefully we're getting loaded into the map here just in a sec.
Getting the teams sorted, that is the thing you got to understand. With so many teams playing, we got to make sure everyone's ready. There's a lot of moving around, a lot of moving parts behind the scenes. So there's definitely going to be some time there too. We're getting teams into the lobby. We will be going in just a few minutes for you guys. But I do want to ask, so of these teams here, we have a lot of teams that are moving forward. There's already maybe been an upset, Saints ones versus Gamblers. Yeah. Maybe we thought it was going one way. Is there a team that you would be shocked to see drop in this round? Like, who is the team that you would really be surprised to see go out early? Like, Saints won already in lower bracket. I think I'd be very surprised to see them go out early. Any other teams that you'd be really surprised to see drop?
It's got to be either of the Aimers, but I don't know which one is less likely to win. That's the tough thing, right? You've got Aimers Red up against Gamblers right here. On the lower side of that semi-finals bracket, it's not lower, it's just the other side. Aimers Blue versus Burnt Nuggets. And yeah, they feel like very comparable matchups. I really want to keep my eye on Saints 1, honestly, and see if they can make a lower bracket run. But of course, it's going to get tougher and tougher as that lower bracket gets populated with better and better teams as we go on throughout the day. So, difficult one to call. Rio, I don't know. You're probably just going to say exactly what I said, right?
We actually are about to see which team, if Aimers are going to drop down as well, because we're jumping right into our second match. So I'm going to let you guys take it away.
All right, everybody, we are getting started on Bernal. This is Aimers Red versus the Gamblers. If you feel a little lucky, maybe the Gamblers is your team. But if you want to stick with a team that is known for being dominating in the arena, you have Aimers Red. So chat, I want to see who you're rooting for, and I hope you guys are ready as we get started on Bernal.
Here we go. So Rubinski showing up here to try and help out with Aimers Red, of course. The sub-light, as we mentioned, can he step up? Atelco already having taken a fair amount of damage there, but he will passively heal, no biggie. Jump pad engage with the minigun rip roaring and ready to go, but unfortunately Gamblers a little bit further afield than perhaps Aimers Red took for granted. And now the mesh shield going to protect them from the engage, but they do get dropped as the zipline is taken down. Some interesting positional play here by Gamblers. They're certainly weaving around. They haven't even tapped the vault yet. Neither team has. They're doing a bit of a dance around the center of this building here, Rio.
Yeah, it's kind of going slow. I think these teams are just feeling each other out. Nobody wants to be too aggressive just yet. They definitely can hear each other. They're right next to each other, right on top of each other almost. So they know they're there, but they're just waiting for that first engagement, waiting for somebody to be a little bit out of place. And I think that we're about to see Rubinski come around as he spots them. He gets fallen down with one mag. That is some amazing shots popping off there. His team is following very close in chase. There's a dome shield going down, and they're just out hunting. The vault tap finally gets started after a whole minute and a half in this map, but now we're watching as this light player tries to spot out the next player. There goes 6 going down, trying to spot out the next one, going back around them. Can he get this last heavy player down? There is the first wipe on the Gamblers. I guess they didn't have a good hand.
Unfortunately for them, yep, out for the count. Rubinski taken out, but he comes out of that fight with the most kills, the most damage, everything, really. Really making a big difference. Telko with 4 assists, though, so he was constantly involved, despite not getting a single kill in that. We'll now follow that vault as it gets carried all the way over to B. And this is actually something that was pointed out to me the other day by STN when he was joined by me on the cast for the final day of group stage, Rio. I think I've been calling the vault the wrong thing this whole time. Is it a vault only when it's locked up and then it becomes the box afterwards?
I don't know. You're turning my whole world upside down, especially
You
because
see?
I have a podcast called The Vault. So I don't know. My whole world is in a mess, but let's get started in this fight because we're going back to Rubinski as he's immediately spotting somebody out. But look at this. He's been phased out of existence for a couple of seconds, but it buys him just enough time to come right around from that heavy and just deletes Folan. What a wild light player we are seeing already.
And it's interesting to me, again, I'm going to stick on this point of variety and light gadgetry that we're seeing today. That's the second nullifier we've seen from teams that are not called aimers today. And, you know, so far it hasn't really worked out as well as, well, for instance, we've got Rubinski on the glitch grenade. We had earlier Roma running the vanishing bomb. And I just wonder whether, you know, these options are optimal. It's all dependent on what you know you're going up against. For me, glitch grenade against this heavy that you know is playing mesh, excellent choice, and that's going to have a massive impact on how these fights pan out.
Yeah, no kidding. And we're watching them as they get set up. There is a Telco, red barrel in hand. He's got a sight line directly on that cash out. He wants to make sure that his team doesn't get swarmed. He does spot the warp around, and there he is, spotting that light player out as he's trying to beam him down. But there's a bounce pad that goes off as well, and we see all of the Gamblers just jumping around like kids on a trampoline, getting a little bit split up, and it's probably not the best move. But there's a Telco getting a res on Rubinski. He's going to get him up and buy himself a little bit of time with that goo. They are now looking for each other as it looks like both teams have 2 people down. There is now just 1 person down on Aimers Red. They are trying to stay alive, and they've cornered them into a small room. And there's another wipe on the Gamblers. This is turning a little one-sided here. I'm a little bit worried there, Jerry.
We do want a good game, of course. And at the moment, Gamblers aren't giving us that, right? This is a lot more one-sided than the previous game. You know, the best you could have said about Crutches was that they got dominated, but they did put up a good fight. Gamblers doesn't feel like the same kind of push and pull that we saw on the last series, but there's still time for them to warm into this, Rio.
There is still plenty of time. We can't call this one way or another because it's only been 1 cash out. Only 25k is in the bank, so both of these teams have every potential to bring this up to more cash outs. But there is a gateway going out for Aimers Red. It will bring the vault directly to cash out C, and they will get it started. This is a perfect opportunity, a good spot to be as well. There's a little bit of a chance to drop it, but there's a lot of opportunity for the team to spread out. This is a very nice little kind of open area, but here is Perzone as he's moving close in it. He's got a blueberry in hand. Those are quite helpful for when you start taking damage, just like they're about to. Mesh shield going up, trying to block all of the damage for his teammate, but there is the minigun trying to rev it up, but he can't do it in time. Is this the Gamblers finally finding their footing? Folan also with the minigun, revving it up, bringing a Teleco down. Gonna be able to get their other heavy down, but I'm not just sure, because now it's a minigun versus minigun, and they're trying to get Perzone down. He is the last person alive with 33 HP, throws up the mesh shield, makes a retreat from out of there, and surely he has to be chased by the gamblers. Can they spot him? There it is. Aimers Red goes down for the first time, and this will change hands to the gamblers.
Yep, that it will. And just in case anyone's wondering who this 6-set fellow is on your screens right now, that is Devil's Work. I've just checked the Discord channel. It is him. So it's another case of this guy changing his name. He went from Devil's Work to DW, which is acceptable. I can accept an abbreviation. 6 sets? Come on, like what are you doing? You're just doing this to annoy us now. Surely that's the only explanation. But no, as players find themselves, I can understand it. You gotta, you know, make sure that people know who you are, though. It's important. You gotta build your brand. You're in the finals, guys.
Here is the push. We're watching Persona as he throws down that dome shield. But that minigun is lethal if he can follow in chase, and he does. But look at this. He's been nullified out of existence and is going to use this opportunity to get right on top of the cash out. Gas going down, and it's going to be a real pain for Aimers Red to get onto the point. I think that the gamblers have bought themselves just enough time, especially with that gas, because it is Persona as he's the last person alive. He's going to go into that gas, but that gas is deadly. The longer you stay in that gas, the more compounding damage it does, and we're going to see hopefully a team reset here as Persona tries to get his teammates back up. They did lose the cash, so it will continue this fight there, Jerry.
I thought that maybe Gamblers would look to gain distance on them here, but they're trying to finish off the team while they are still down to only 2 men. They do spot Rubinski out, but his movement is superior. He gets out of dodge just fine. Jumps up out into the open and does find the bunny helmeted Folin. Takes him down very swiftly, and now Aimers Red have turned this fight on its head. 6 set taken out as well. Some great work here that we're getting to watch Rubinski do, and Perzon is the one to finish it off with that minigun. 9 kills for the heavy so far this game. He really is stamping down his authority on this match.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the minigun. It's working. Like, I love it. I think that it's wild. I know that when this season started, nobody thought that the minigun would be a weapon that was chosen in matches like this. But hey, it has had some staying power throughout this entire league, and it is quite exciting to see. But something's going on because we're seeing transition after transition, and I'm not sure where the live game is. We're back, everybody. Saw some cool replays there for a second, and got your ADHD quick content fix. But here is the vault as we're getting started for the next fight.
The next what?
Move on.
In here. All right. Well, it looks as though Gamblers have set up to defend D. An interesting move because, of course, they have to cycle over to A. A quick bit of maneuvering there from Aimers, but they do have to drop the box and take the fight as it comes to them. They have the high ground, though, so this is very nice for them. 6 set chased down by Rubinski rather successfully, and he manages to fall back into the church tower to avoid contact again with yet more opposition. But Telco sort of diving and ducking out of the building, looking for another engage, but of course it's only the heavy left on the side of Gamblers, so... Or rather, Foden and Kiriki are both up, but they're disconnected here, and they don't fancy taking a fight when they're this uncoordinated, so they're just waiting for that coin opportunity. They're going to go in against one of the most interesting cash-out locations, I think, in the game right now, Rio.
Right. Yeah, and it has a lot of opportunities to be dropped, but it kind of just drops into a big open area, and you can't drop it more than one more time after that. There's just kind of a little ledge that it falls onto. So it's a very unique area, and it's definitely very claustrophobic. You see a lot of people on top of each other and kind of when the fighting gets started, and that's exactly what we're about to see. As the gamblers are making their way in this stairwell, they're deciding to go a little bit slow. They're slowing things down.
I'm getting deja vu.
You still can hear the footsteps, but it is a little bit more muted, and I'm curious what they're going to do. There is goo going off. They're going to demat it down, drop it one more time. They spot out the aimers, trying to kill them with the minigun, but unsuccessful in that fight. But the cash is dropped in a pretty good area. I would go for a steal right now.
It's an option, but of course, the moment they complete this, they're going to get caught in transition, so they have to be really careful about their positioning and how well they take the fights immediately afterwards. I think they've missed the opportunity there, but they at least have baited in Aimers Red, and this is surely the last chance saloon for both teams. About 50 seconds left on that timer. Kiriki weaving, but he cannot find a single target there. And in the meantime, both of his teammates have fallen almost. We see Folin up still somehow, 6-set res as the defib comes through, and the trades are there. They've done it. They've turned it round. Gamblers collect map 2 for themselves, most likely, and we are probably going to be going all the way to Skyway here. Oh, sorry, this is map 1. They're ahead in the series. I just assumed Amers Red had already won a map. This is unprecedented, Rio.
I know, and there's something about having 2 teams called Amers. You know, they are blue and red, but it does kind of mess with your head just a little bit. But quite
it's that deja vu. You know,
yeah,
we saw the exact same take earlier.
Exact same map, same everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's wild, and congratulations, gamblers, you did it. You kind of went against all odds and were able to get map number 1 under your belt. But Jerry, maybe you gave us a little bit of a sneak peek, and I think you might be right. I think that we will see this series or this matchup go all the way to Skyway Stadium. But that was quite an exciting first map, way closer than our first map that we got, our first matchup we saw today. So this is why I'm excited. This is why these teams have made it this far, have made it into this part of the bracket. And yeah, look at how close even the kills are. These were really tight teams.
But only 6-set out-fragging anyone on the side of Amers Red. So on paper, you look at this, you'd expect Amers Red to have won it. They had the most kills, but it's not about kills. As we all know in the finals, you can win a game without a single kill. Very difficult to do that, mind you. It does help. But yeah, they've done a great job there. And I got to give a shout out as well to who's the medium Kiriki on the side of Gamblers, getting 6 revives during the course of that map, and that one at the end, the defib in the middle of that fight, made a huge difference, and it swung the fight in their favor and got them the wipe and the win. So massive shout out to Kiriki. He's been an impactful medium all season long, and he's really had a moment in the spotlight right there.
Yeah, and that's kind of what makes a good medium, is finding that nice little balance between, do I go for a res, do I put myself in a vulnerable position to save a teammate and then dip back in and out? And I think that just finding that good balance between it, because he took a risk and it kind of paid off for him really successfully. So it's just kind of cool to see those team plays, that high level kind of skill, and sometimes a little bit of luck. And yeah, I think that is just kind of a great way to get started. I'm curious to see how things are going to change on Fortune Stadium, because as I mentioned before, Bernal is not very horizontal, or it's not very vertical. It doesn't have a lot of vertical spots. It doesn't have a lot of spots that you have to look up. But Fortune Stadium is basically all like looking up. If you guys don't know, each island builds on top of each other, adds on another layer. So we kind of go from a spot that only has 1 layer all the way up to 5 to 6 layers in a building like we're seeing right now. But guys, we are getting started. This is map number 2. If you guys are gamblers, can you gamble on them winning, or is it going to be Amers Red taking the win? We're already seeing everybody getting started right here in the middle of this fight on top of this roof. There goes Rubinski going down, but Kiriki is very low and being chased. Can he do anything with that Cerberus? He gets a Telco down. Are you kidding me? What a wild kill, and he's able to get the wipe and get his teammates back up. This is already getting started quite heavy.
Wow, 0 to hero in the space of that fight, Kiriki. We started by watching him and seeing him shoot the floor with his Cerberus. I said out loud, why? It was because he got glitched immediately beforehand. That's what he was trying to do. DMAC down, find nice, tight corners to really leverage that Cerberus. And Cerb v Famas in that kind of fight, Cerb wins every time. Kiriki did his team proud there.
Yes, he did. The Cerberus, I'm still glad that it's being used even after the slight little nerf. I think the nerf was actually really good for it. It kind of put it in a good spot, but it is still quite useful. But we're now seeing as Vault 1 makes its way over to Cash Out A. Cash Out A is kind of in a little kind of parking structure area. This is a good spot to be in, and it will provide them a lot of opportunities to kind of oversee this cash out as they get it started. There is a gateway, and both teams are getting quite close to each other. Cash Out A has gotten started. Let's see where it goes.
Setting up a gateway very high to retake above this point should they need it. It's also surprisingly well hidden, unless Amers Red take this exact rooftop. They may not see that reverse coming in, but of course, these are teams that have played against gateways all the time now. They have spotted it. They will be wise to it. do not have eyes on that team directly below them. We do. Of course, we have the X-ray goggles on. But if they knew, maybe they would go for a dive right here, right now. That being said, we have seen how effective that Cerberus can be, and I don't think Atelco wants anything to do with it.
Yeah, that Cerberus is lethal in close quarter combats like this one, but there is the DMAT.
Oh, the Reshaper.
Oh, and a data Reshaper. We don't see that often, but look at how clutch that came in. And now Atelco is going for the steal, but has to pull off just a little bit because he knows that the Gamblers are above them. We're watching 1 kill, 2 kills. Can we see the third one? Can he clean it up with this minigun? If I am on the side of the Gamblers, I would be a little bit worried. There's a Lockbolt going down, 6 going down. Can he find the last person again? I don't think it matters because they're going to go for the steal.
Yeah, they don't even need to. That lockbolt almost would have been awesome, but it's just the timing a little bit off. The drop comes through from Kiriki there, and he's diving. He knows that his days are numbered. Rubinski comes in after him. I don't think he's bought enough time for his team to coin there. That is a wipe successful. They have the time to get this steal right now. Aim is red. And so, or rather, they've already confirmed that steal, so they don't even need to bother.
Yep, it will be a reset for the Gamblers. I hope that this is not where we see the Aimers Red start to kind of find their footing and dominate, but it is just the first cash out. They're in control, and there is the respawn from the Gamblers. They did spawn pretty close to that cash out, which is going to mean they have a little bit of a walk to make it over to vault number 2. Looking at the scoreboard, we see that Aimers Red have a 1-2-3 elimination streak on all of them, and they all have quite a good rounded combat score as well. So Gamblers not doing as well as they did in the last map, but like I said, there's still plenty of time for everything to turn around.
This is a position that Atelco really wants to leverage. These long sight lines, and this is probably one of the best in the entire map. You can see pretty much everywhere that your opposition would even think about coming from. They do spot the movement there. They have the red barrel. He's holding on to it for a cleaner shot, of course. May want to consider taking out the zip, although that would be tantamount to suicide for the team coming across it, to be honest. And they've got the gateway preset already, so they can avoid confrontation entirely and head all the way over to the Quake building, as I like to call it now. C is in the far corner. But Gamblers, of course, have the benefit of the other God Zip on the level, and that has positioned themselves ahead of Aimers Red right now. They've blocked off very effectively here. Good positioning once again from Gamblers to try and intercept this.
Yeah, they were ready in intercepting it. They wanted to do, they spotted them out, and they kind of put a pause on their plans. Atelco trying to beam anybody down with that FAMAS. He spots him out in the stairwell, but it's having to go away because he took a lot of damage with that dematting, and he tries to go through the window, but now he's super separated from his team. This is not what you want. As his teammate is being chased down, he tries to throw a red barrel to get his teammate back up, but it is just him. He's the last person alive as he gets swarmed, and Aimers Red go down as the Gamblers take control of this vault.
Yeah, unfortunate that we were watching Atelco right there, honestly. You know, he's going to feel rough after that fight, getting separated so quickly. Obviously, he did have to bail after taking so much damage. Yeah. I don't even think it was from the minigun. I think it was from the player to the side of the minigun who just, you know, unloaded into him there, and it made a big difference in the fight. Got now, of course, these gas mines that Kiriki has been favoring set up on the point. Aimers Red spawning back in. And Rio, of course, Gamblers right now, they're actually maybe, what, 1 or 2 fights away from knocking Aimers Red down here and going all the way to the final themselves.
I mean, it would be an upset of all upsets, and I'm kind of hoping that it does happen. If you're a gambling person, now is the time to see if your gambling predictions come true. But here is Aimers Red as they go for a steal. They drop the cash out, and I think that there was a bounce pad that it was supposed to reach, but I'm not sure. As gas goes down all over the point, the stairwell is a lethal spot to be caught out, and one of the Gamblers goes down in that fight. There was a trade that happened right there, a lock bolt as well, keeping them in place on the stairwell, but it's not going to matter much because the DMAT in the wall goes down. Everything's just kind of slowed down. It feels like everyone's just trying to find each other.
Yeah, well, Rubinski's the only one who survived that fight, and right now, Gamblers, they'll take that almost like a quasi-team wipe. That was really nice. That allows them to reset. They can get their utility out again. They've got a C4 underneath. They're going to be putting gas mines above as well, so that automatically detonates with the C4. There's all sorts of things going here for Gamblers. The positioning just allows you to stall this point so long if you need to. And that's going to be the name of the game here. They're going to play below. They've got a C4. Amos Red have to play this perfectly to get the steal and continue on to a third cash out.
Yep, cash out is running down. We've got about 15 seconds left, so they need to get on this immediately if they want to go for a steal. There is Rubinski as he drops down into that heavy. Glitch Grenade is going to bring that shield down as well as he continues to chase the heavy, but he's getting spotted out as that minigun has been revved up, but there is Fallen going down in that fight.
Oh, they get it!
The second Gamblers, are they going to get the steal? Are they about to take it? They got the wipe. They have just enough time. Oh my god, Amers Red, what are you doing? And they got the win right at the end. So it is 1-1, and we will be going to the third map.
Wow, such a tight game there. And Amos Red coming out on top, but it really, really was by the skin of their teeth, it felt like. And Gamblers will be maybe ruining a missed opportunity there. So, gonna go all the way to Skyway for map 3, but let's just take a look back at this. Perzon with 6 kills. People questioning why he's running the minigun. If you haven't been paying attention, guys, minigun is meta. This thing is lethal. It rips and tears. But Folin, unfortunately, couldn't find it for himself this game. Only 1 kill for him and 1 kill for Sixtet. That's a significant drop-off. Kiriki was doing a lot of the heavy lifting when it came to the support last game, but switching on over to the Cerberus and having a really high impact with the frags doesn't seem to have worked as much for the team cohesion.
Yeah, and it could just be map dependent. It could be something that they just weren't able to find their footing. They weren't able to kind of regroup after a few weird missed team fights, because it seems like Koreki got a lot of good kills there, but his team just wasn't with him. And you know, it's so important to play like a team, stay close like a team, and just kind of work with your team. And we saw like a great example of this when Atelko on the other side of things like missed that elbow on a window. So he missed it and he fell right through, and he just got separated from his team and then just watched them die one after another until he was swarmed. And I think that it's just important that to me really highlights what can happen if you just step just a little bit out of your team's kind of spear, the little bubble, and it can just really cascade and just go from there. So I think that's kind of what I saw on the other side of things, but I think it also could just be just not their map.
Yeah, it could be. And obviously we're now going, well, I mean, it's a weird thing to say, right? It's not their map, because that was literally their map, right? Amos Red had first pick. They picked Bernal. They lost it. Gamblers had second pick. They picked Fortune. They lost it. So coming down to the decider, it really is anyone's game. And they picked each other's maps. We are getting a little update here as the upper bracket final is already populated with Amos Blue, who appear to have 2-0'd Burnt Nuggets in their semi-final. So they drop down to that lower quarter. Saints 1 as well, already having progressed, taking out Divine Dead. So no heroics there for the team that just about managed to sneak into the upper bracket before the first, just before this bracket was formed. Divine Dead managed to get that bye through Reset, but then couldn't win a single game here, unfortunately. So yeah, Saints 1 and Nuggets, it's going to be that best of 1 taking place fairly soon. Amos Blue, though, waiting for the victor of this game. What do you make of that?
What do I make of that? I think that we are potentially seeing an Amers Blue versus Amers Red off. And I am a little bit pumped for it, but we still have one more map in this current series, so I don't know. It's going to be all up to this. If you guys are excited, now is the time to show it in chat. Chat, we've had some amazing copy pastas. There's also a ton of new people here. I think if you guys have been watching any of the previous stuff, let them have it. Let us see some of your favorite copy pastas so that the rest of this community can get as excited as you guys are. But here we go. Their fighting is already getting started, and they are ready to get into this. There's Perzone running a little bit away from the combat, trying to find his spot in this battle, but things have kind of slowed down a little bit as they get set up.
Because the minigun not super effective at this kind of range. A little bit closer, and you can do some meaningful damage, but just a bit of a warning shot right here from Perzone, and aim training as they get into the game. Gateway set up already to maneuver around, and this is something we've seen multiple times now from Gamblers. They are happy to let Amos Red get that tap on the vault and get it moving. They just want to control the high ground no matter what. They want to screen away and hold that objective before Amos Red come up to them. Amos Red, really, it's a sign of them backing themselves in the fight, but Itelko is the first one to take significant damage as this engage comes through.
Yeah, and this is a stairwell battle as well, and it's really not the spot to get caught out in. Aimers Red need to move from this spot, but they're a little bit hesitant. There is the DMAT. They're trying to spot out the Gamblers. They know they're on the roof just above them, but there's that minigun as it's revving up, but they're pulling off of this fight and getting it ready again. Revving that back up. Her zone is now lock bolted in and dangling off the side. That was some good movement and really kind of got out of that fight.
Oh, smart.
He knew he was going to die and just whack that vault all the way across the map. This gives them a little bit of a time to reset and wait for their respawn to come back, but it also means that the Gamblers have to waste time going to chase that vault and bring it all the way over there. So really smart play in the last second of his life. Cool to see.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want to do. Very quick decision making, and it feels strange that we're congratulating him for such a strange play. You know, they lost. They didn't get a single kill in that engagement, but that makes all the difference potentially when it comes to the fights, and of course it may have bought them an extra time. So shout out to those Sixset for getting all 3 kills in that team fight. Massive impact from the Light, who's been a little bit quieter than we're used to seeing from him. Now, Aimers Red have the high ground this time around, attacking straight down. Of course, that Data Reshaper is going to help. Has a much longer range than it used to, able to dishevel any of that setup. Of course, if Gamblers are smart, they may well have set up below. They may well have set up gas mines below, in fact. But that DMAT is only a bait. They don't drop, they don't follow. It just prevents the steal for now. A lot of damage on the roof onto Foden. No, excuse me, he is maximum health right now. And Rubinski trying to get the sandwich move going on. He does pincer successfully and find a kill. It's a 3 versus 2 now, but Rubinski very low on HP. Of course, his passive heal means that he's more than happy to try and dive in despite his low HP, and he does get taken out. Nullified is Perzon, as now they give chase. They can't quite deal the damage onto that Light who's running off into the distance, but it shouldn't matter right now. They can try and go for this point. That is what Perzon is turning his attention to. He wants to confirm this steal. That wipe has come through, or rather the kill has come through. It's not quite a wipe. In fact, they're coining in right now, Gamblers, but they've bought themselves enough time, Aimers Red, to turn attack into defense.
Yeah, this is wild. The Gamblers are really good about moving in and out of these buildings to buy themselves a little bit of time. But in this case, it's kind of gone against them because they now were a little bit too far away from the cash out to stop the steal. Now the cash out is firm in control of Aimers Red, and it looks like they're going to be able to just stall for a little bit longer. This cash out has maybe 20 seconds left. It is running down very quickly. There is a steal that is going off, but there's the C4 followed up by a bounce pad, and it is just bouncing all over the place, just kiting this cash out just a little bit longer, and there is a wipe on the Gamblers. Aimers Red played that perfectly. They were able to just draw that fight out. They were able to separate the Gamblers from the cash out and then steal it and then control it. That is just textbook what you want to do.
Absolutely. Really, really powerful stuff there from Aimers Red. And we kept track of the kills earlier. Sixset had 3 after the first team fight. He's only gained 1. The rest of his team haven't found a single one there, so that's your problem. Gamblers weren't able to find more than 1 pick in that entire, 2-minute long fight? And that is a problem. You really don't want that to repeat itself like I just did, because that is a problem. If I will say it again, that is a problem.
That is a problem indeed. Atelco taking his anger out on those god zips. And why do I say anger? I should say joy and merriment. They're putting a bounce pad down. They're going to get this cash out started. B is probably one of my favorite cash outs because you can drop it down into kind of the conference area and then you can drop it down one more time. So there's a lot of opportunities for this to be kind of played, and they are setting up on the rooftop. They want to bring this fight right to them, try and hold it for as long as possible and avoid the drops for as long as possible if they can. There is that mesh shield going up, and both teams are starting their approach. Atelco dropping the DMAT in through the roof, trying to spot out the next player. But again, this is what I pointed out earlier. The Gamblers stay close to each other, and they're also maybe a little bit too timid when they're doing it because they need to make a move. This push is just going way too slow.
This is some extreme kiting from Aimers Red, though. Look at the reposition. They've gone so far away. Of course, they will have C4 set. They'll have everything. It gets blown, and that gets a kill as well. Sixset taken out. Maybe there's some extra utility stacked there that he didn't expect, and now we're in a 3 versus 2 here. As the res hasn't come through, Kiraki's just sitting by the point. Does manage to stick that res. DMAP brings it down yet another layer. They seal up shop above as well. Now, this is important because Aimers Red have to collapse with some sort of explosion, anything. They do just that to open up the sightline, and now they chase each other through the gateway. Back up to the top we go. Etelko has gone down in the chaos. Rabinski beams his opposition. Persson feels a kill onto Kiriki as well, but Fonan is still up, only on a smidgen of HP. He wins the 1 versus 1 though, the SA-12-16. In fact, it's a 1 versus 2, and he will get this steal, keeping his team in the game. We are going to a third cash out on this final map, Rio.
I love this, Jerry. This is amazing. This is intense. This is exactly what I wanted to see in a match like this. They're going to have one more opportunity. This is all going to go down to the final cash out. Aimers Red have respawned, but they're not going to have enough time. Everybody seems to enjoy the new blueberries. Yes, that is the official term I am calling it. And yeah, it's a great little utility that they've added in there. But they're having some fun. This cash out has gone their way. And yeah, Jerry, we have one more cash out that will determine who wins this match.
We haven't seen too much SA-12-16 play this season. It's surprising to see it come out right now. Obviously, Folan is accustomed to this weapon, shall we say. But yeah, some really different, choices being made on either side of the spectrum here. Kiriki as well, swapping off that Cerberus I've only just gathered here onto the Scar, because obviously, we've barely seen him in the kill feed this game. It seems like, it hasn't worked out for him quite as well. But right now, this is a position where the Scar can leverage its strengths. You've got that long sight line. You're putting out a good amount of damage, even over a decent range. This is probably outside the optimum range. As you can see, that cash box is about 60 meters away. Really tough, but there's a lot of drop off over that range. But they are doing this thing again, this screening, this guarding of the objectives, taking high ground, letting Aimers Red ferry that box wherever they please.
Yep, and they have control of it now.
Ooh,
they have
a bit of a misstep though.
Box over there. What's the misstep? What did I miss?
I think they're just a little bit behind. Aimers Red could make this all the way unscathed. But look, Gamblers has managed to... Oh, okay, no, he's gone across and he's bailed. He was like, nope, I'm alone. I'm not going in. I feel like Aimers Red, they could make this jump, especially now as the reload comes through from Kiriki. Yeah, he's not going to be able to find it. This should be a fairly safe plug, but the engage is going to come quick and powerfully afterwards from Gamblers. No time to set up here for Aimers Red.
Yep, cash out hasn't even got started yet, and there it goes. Aimers Red gets the plug. Immediately a lock bolt as well, but Kiriki is able to just get that down and goes and res his teammates back up as well. But they are getting chased, and this is not looking good as they get a trade going off. But the Gamblers are down to just a little bit of health on the last two remaining people. They need to dip and dive out of there. And there is the shotgun, a res going off as well. I think they're down to their last person of the Gamblers, and this is not a good time to get wiped because whoever goes down here will have only one opportunity to go for a next push. We can see that they're looking for this last person, trying to spot him out, but they are unsuccessful. They do not see him off to the left-hand side, but that's not going to matter because they're going to get their coins in, they're going to get their reses, and we're going to see maybe one more push from the Gamblers.
Foden really getting caught out there on that zipline. You never want to be... I feel like every time I take that zipline, I die. No matter what situation. It's such an explosive position. But they'd already put themselves in a rough spot before that even. And like you say, about 60 seconds left. Time perhaps for one more fight here from the Gamblers to keep their upper bracket hopes alive, to steal and upset the apple cart. Aimers Red set up very nicely now. They're on top. Good position here by Etelko. Kiriki fires some returning shots and he lands a bit more damage than he takes. That's a good start. They need to find more. 6 set though. Crucial kill onto Etelko, who's caught alone, and now it has to be a 2 versus 3 from the remaining members of Aimers Red to keep themselves up in this upper bracket. Kiriki jumping up top, trying to re-engage all of his teammates up, but they have to get the steal sooner rather than later. The gas mine triggers. That could be terrible. No Cerberus to dispel the gas. No flame barrels anywhere in sight. That could be it right there, Rio. There could be no chance, but no, it gets dissipated, and they control it. They're going for the steal. Persson jumps in, gets 1, gets 2. Rabinski confirming those. Huge frags coming out from the light. Aimers Red hold on in the 2 versus 3, and they stay in that upper bracket. They book their spot in the final against their brothers in arms, Aimers Blue.
Oh my God, what a matchup that was. I love these matches where I have no idea where it's going to go until the last few seconds of the match. And that's exactly what we saw here. We saw the gamblers. I thought that they had just enough debris around them that they were going to be able to be blocked in there and get that steal. I felt it. I could see it. And then I felt my heart break as soon as their heavy went down and they were unable to get that steal. It's just wild. These two were some of the closest teams I've seen. This was exciting. Gamblers did great. I don't even know what they did wrong here, and I think that's what's going to be exciting to hear Waltz's interpretation in just a second. But before we get to Waltz, Jerry, what are your thoughts on what we just saw?
Well, I can give you a live transmission from a telco right now, who is saying, "Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my God, thank you, thank you." Because, my God, did Perzan and Rubinski bail him out there? That was almost a blunder, a real blunder to be caught out on that rooftop. He was given a warning as well. You know, Kiriki firing shots his way, and he just about got out of there. Yeah, he would have really felt bad if that had gone against them. But my oh my, what a clutch from the two remaining players. And that is it, you know, because we're in like a game that's just 3 versus 3, there is the possibility for anyone to step up and be that clutch player every time, every single fight. There's not a single thing that isn't winnable in this game. So yeah, that's why I love it. And I mean, if we were going to choose 2 teams that we would have expected to get to the final today, it would have been these two, Amers Blue and Amers Red, the dominant forces in EU. Let's have a look at that bracket, as I believe we can also perhaps welcome back Waltz. Waltz, why don't you take us through this bracket? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. The bracket itself is, I got to be honest, incredibly surprising to me. We've definitely seen some results that I was not expecting. Gangala versus Nuggets, one that definitely thought Gangala was going to do a little bit better there, but then Gangala getting knocked out by NTHX. Now that was a surprise for me. Amazing work from NTHX. Obviously, they did not move on further. We see Crutches making a really nice, solid loser bracket run right now, all the way through. At this point, though, I do believe every one of our teams that began in the lower bracket have been knocked out. So at this point, the only teams left are our upper bracket teams. All of the teams that did lose a match in the upper bracket are now in the loser bracket. So I think showing why these teams were in our upper bracket, right? Like they showed over the course of Cash Out, they can perform really, really well. They're very good teams. And although they are different play styles, they are still built on the same fundamentals. And we're seeing that follow through in the actual bracket itself, that the teams that struggled in Cash Out are also struggling in 3v3.
Wow, that's a really interesting observation that all of the people in the lower bracket are now out. It really kind of stands that our previous, method and cash out games kind of were valid. I think there was just a lot in my head that like, okay, with the chaos of cash out, is this a good way of measuring the teams? And I just keep seeing more and more validation that it is. So it's cool to see that they're able to continue going from that mode to this mode, and it's still kind of shaking out the same. So strong teams are strong teams. I know it sounds like a shocker, but that is kind of what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So
it was a. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jerry. I don't want to interrupt you. You were watching.
I think I just want to delve a little bit more into the stakes right now, because obviously that was a fantastic game, and we've got so much to say about this upcoming final. But of course, this isn't everything we're playing for, and this is maybe a good time to pause and think: what are our chances of seeing teams make their way through to the championship playoffs that perhaps we weren't expecting? Amers Red essentially booked their spot in there with that top place finish in the group stage. But Waltz, I think you've got the brains to really talk us through who is surprising you. We've had Crutches in 7th place and making their way through to the top 6 here. Could that be a big difference maker?
No, 100%. 100% it will. Really, right now, I think for me, the big thing is Amers, with both of them being in the top 2 slots, and they are in that upper bracket semifinal, right? So their next match is going to determine who goes to the grand finals. So when they drop, we need to keep a very close eye on who knocks them out if they get knocked out, because it all comes down to you have to step over one of those 2 teams. Like you said, there really is kind of that middle round of people. A team like Crutches really needs to perform well, and they are. They're doing a great job. Making it into the lower quarters is already going to earn them a bunch of extra points. They're already guaranteed at least least 200 points that has the potential to put them into that top 6 that they need. So a team like this, especially if you can knock down one of the Aimers groups, 100% that's going to be able to just clean things up for you and make sure that you do get that extra push. So these last couple obviously the last couple matches matter so much, but the big thing we need to watch is when Aimers drop, how does that match result?
Yeah, I think that this is going to be kind of wild as we go through the next matches. But yeah, I guess we've kind of touched on a lot and touched on the bracket itself. But before we kind of go to a quick break, Waltz, what were your thoughts on just this last matchup? Do you think that this was a really close one, or did you kind of see something that maybe we didn't from the casting side?
I thought it was a really close one. I definitely think that overall, actually, this was a interesting sort of the tale of this series for me was Aimers respecting them more as we went through the fight, right? Because I feel like the first map there were several cash outs that they lost simply because they just didn't set up close enough to it. They weren't near enough to prevent them from stealing. So what we're watching here is gamblers in pink here on the left side with the Atelco and the side of Aimers as they try to take this one. And I think this is part of, on the second map, the one that they did take 2-0, but a very close 2-0 in terms of cash outs. You see the way they changed how they approached the point. And so we're going to see this as we kind of move in here. We have gamblers set up pretty far away, and you'll actually see if we step back a bit. This is the route they're going to take to try and come in and set up and retake this point. So as we come in here, you'll see they're basically going to drop down all the way to the floor. They're going to run across, and they're going to jump pad up when they have the chance. So we're going to see that do the here. Sorry, my apologies. So we're going to see them drop down. They're going to run all the way across, and then they're going to look to bounce pad up. But this is the key point, and I want to kind of focus on this as we move in really close here. So we're going to slow this down a little bit. You'll see as the steal begins, there's 2 members from Aimers on the point, but Rabinski is far and away, he is off to the side. They are not going to set up as 3 on the point because they do not yet have any idea where gamblers are. And this is the crucial point for me, is I think that they learn to respect and understand more of what gamblers were doing, because as we can see, this results in them jumping up and just getting melted by that minigun. Much like a sledge, if you're in close combat with that minigun, it is going to absolutely destroy you if you're not prepared for it. And Perzan just went off in this fight, just knocking out player after player, doing so much damage. And I think that's the key point here, is that's kind of, we saw the rest of this fight, we saw how this wrapped up, and this is a fight that Aimers ended up taking. But I think that was the big key here, is Atelco and the rest of Aimers starting to have a little bit more respect for how well gamblers could play.
Yeah, no, that's a great breakdown of it. And yeah, just kind of finding that respect is something that we definitely see kind of more and more as these teams play against each other. Might not be there in the first match, but you can definitely kind of see it in the second one for sure.
Yeah, and I think that was just an unbelievable series overall. We did say that the games would get better and better as we went along, right? We said that the relative washout of Aimers Blue versus Crutches was an interesting watch for certain. Crutches did put up a decent fight. I think washout was maybe a little bit strong, but it was 2-0-2-0 and done in 2 maps. This really went down to the wire. We went all the way to Skyway, all the way to that final map, all the way to the final point, with a really big clutch coming out in the 2 versus 3 from Rabinski and Perzan. So yeah, it was, they were put on edge there, I think, Aimers Red. And now they know that they're coming up against Aimers Blue, who almost inarguably are a tougher side than Gamblers from what we've seen this season. I do wonder whether they're, ready for that. Maybe they're not. Like, maybe we saw the best of Aimers Red. I don't know if we saw I think we saw the best of Aimers Blue. I don't think we saw the best of Aimers Red. And is that version of Aimers Red available to them today?
Yeah, that's a good question. Really, I guess the question at the end of the day is, which brother is the better brother, between Taco and Noax, right? Like, that's really what this comes down to. This 100%, this match determines if your team stays in the top 2. If you drop on this next match, we're going to watch this one coming up. If you lose this one, there's a very good chance that you don't finish top 2, and then you don't get a bye in the championship round. And the championship round is going to be the top 6 teams from both NA and EU. There are no rooms for mistakes when you're going against that caliber of play. So you're gonna have to perform. I mean, this is gonna be a little bit of a spat. Maybe we'll see some lasting repercussions here. I know Rio, you're kind of more of a Noax fan. What do you think we're gonna see from that?
I don't know. I mean, because it's really weird. I'm friends with basically everybody on both teams, and I don't want to offend any of them. So all I'm gonna say is that I think it's going to be a wild matchup. It's going to be fun. I don't think that we're gonna have a closer match between anybody the entirety of the EU side. So I'm really excited for that. And yeah, I think that we're gonna take a quick little break, just probably a minute or two, as we load in these two aimers teams into the next map. So guys, hang on for just a minute, enjoy some commercials that are made from the community, and we'll be right back with more finals.
Welcome to the Finals Pro League. This is the seasonal battleground where teams fight for dominance, bragging rights, and the ultimate title of regional and world champion. Season 1 kicks off with 2 qualifiers where only the strongest make it through. 3 teams from each qualifier will advance to the regular season. But getting there won't be easy. The format? A modified Swiss bracket. If you lose twice, you're out. Win 4 games and you punch your ticket to the league. Simple, brutal, competitive. In the regular season, the best 12 teams in each region battle it out over 2 intense splits, each lasting 2 weeks. Every split has 4 playdays, where teams are shuffled into fresh groups of 4. And if your squad isn't clicking, no worries. There's a short roster change window between splits. The format? Cash out. Placement and eliminations earn points, stacking up to determine playoff seeding. Only the top 2 teams in each region secure an automatic spot in the championship series, so every match matters. Out of the regular season and into the regular playoffs. The top 8 teams from the regular season start in the upper bracket, while the bottom 4 teams wait in the lower bracket, hungry to fight their way up. The format here is final round 3v3. Lower bracket is best of 1s until the semifinals, where it's best of 3. The upper bracket is best of 3s until the finals, which are a best of 7 showdown. Every playoff match earns teams points towards their season total, affecting their seeding for the grand finale, the championship series. 12 teams, 2 regions, 1 trophy. Welcome to the championship series. With an initial $500 prize pool and growing, this 2-day event will see the top 12 teams from both regions pitted against one another for the title of world champion. The top 2 teams from each region get a free pass to round 2. Every match is best of 3 until the upper bracket finals go to best of 5. And the grand finals, best of 7. Only one team will stand at the top when the dust settles. We'll see you in the arena where we'll find out who can reach the finals. Might come through for Bird Nuggets. This is everything Mickey. They need to get there in time. They do. They stop the steal. If he reload, he's able to do it before you get that super. Oh, the RPG on the Gilbert.
BMO absolutely beaming right now, finishing off the rest of the team.
Slightly over to the sideline here. The gateway has been placed. They come up from above.
Play commit doing so much, just controlling this team fight.
At this point, you have it. You've got it done.
There's no way.
He dashes around. Look at the movement.
Aim point taking down a lot of players there. Great use of the Goo Gun. Oh, unbelievable techers.
Gangala, they try to jump in. Oh, they do. The team that hits.
Try and go for the steal, and the winch is huge. It doesn't work out though.
He can't do anything yet. No, he still takes it. 1 versus 3.
This isn't just a game. This is TNT. Welcome to the jungle and welcome to 8 Squad's Thursday Night Throwdown.
Featuring the game's top talent, pick up games where chimps become champions.
Thursday nights 8 to 10 p.m. every week, only on 8 Squad. Catch us live on air on Twitch at twitch.tv/8squadorg.
In the world of sports, every second counts. Every move matters. That's where a Spooze comes in, the sports beverage designed for champions. With a Spooze, it's simple as pop, pour, perform. Packed with electrolytes and essential nutrients to keep you hydrated and energized, Spooze is your go-to drink for peak performance. Whether you're just carrying the vault or securing the winning cash out, Spooze is there to fuel your victory. Its unique formula is scientifically designed to boost your stamina and focus. Spooze, for those who dare to excel. Pop, pour, perform.
The real world can be unfriendly, misleading, confusing. But your world doesn't have to be. Reality Shield will protect you, cutting out the noise, making the world perfect. We do not censor. We cultivate. Engimo.
It's showtime!
That strange thought you just had, where did it come from? And was it even yours? Our new Series 2000 effectively suppresses third-party influence and eccentricity, outperforming our competitors within the standard deviation of conformity. With the Series 2000, your mind stays in control. Via, we as one.
You know, June, every time I think I've seen it all, the finals proves me wrong. What a play!
That's one for the highlight reel, Scotty.
The next chapter in this epic saga is about to unfold. A storm of epic flashes is brewing this season of the finals!
The stars. Distant. Watching. When will they arrive? Will your family be disintegrated first or last? Will your family dog become their leader? With Holtau's alien invasion insurance, you don't have to worry. Alto, we got your back.
Absorbe ce que c'est. Monde. Pour misérable et fortuné. Absorbe. Ce que tu désires devenir, c'est ce que tu es. Alors, absorbe.
The life giver. The sun. Always on. The source of everything that is good. But can it be trusted? Holtau's Sun Insurance will have you covered if the unimaginable happens and the light goes out. Holtau, brighter than ever.
Do it.
Right, watch you.
Welcome back, everyone, to the regional playoffs for the E region of the Pro League Series. We are to kind of our last, I believe we're at our last 6 teams as the games in the loser bracket are being played. Of course, we're going to be looking at the upper bracket between the 2 aimers and the 2 brothers who are going to be going head to head. I'm joined again by Jerry and Rio. How you guys doing? Are you excited for this upcoming matchup? What do you think, Jerry?
I'm very excited that you seem to be walking across the world with your cat as well. This cat has the most air miles of any cat I've ever seen. Like,
Oh, he's a traveler.
yeah, real traveler. Nice to see you in sunny Bernal. We've seen it a few times today. Maybe we'll see it again. It seems to be a popular pick for both aimers, so I think we're very likely to see it again. And yeah, before we get into the map pick, should we have a quick look at the updated bracket just so we can talk through that, Rio? Because there's been a lot of shaking and moving behind the scenes, and we've been running the numbers and trying to work out. There's some crazy scenarios that could play out depending on who wins and who loses.
Yeah, there are definitely some crazy scenarios, and it's wild to see that some of the teams are already knocked out. But yeah, I guess Waltz is probably the person to kind of walk us through this. Waltz, what are some of these crazy scenarios that we were just talking about behind the scenes?
Yeah, so the big one we're really looking at here is crutches, because crutches, as it stands, as the points sit right now, before we add in the points from the playoff series, they are not moving to the championship. But if they perform well enough, they can actually unseat a team. The big one we want to keep an eye on is if you see all the way down there on the bottom left, Gangala got knocked out in lowers bracket round 1. They lost their first match against Burnt Nuggets, and they lost their second match against NTHX. So Gangala just really underperforming in the playoffs right now, could not figure out how to put it together, and crutches have a chance to knock them down, because right now all the other teams, Saints 1, Burnt Nuggets, and Gamblers, are all going to get points because they made it to that top 6. Fifth and sixth are going to give you, I believe, 200 points, and then fourth is going to give you 400, I believe. So crutches, even if they lose here, are in a really good position to maybe already be in the money, but if they can take it against Nuggets, they are guaranteed to move to that championship.
It's just so spicy. It's so spicy. And like you say, the numbers are changing constantly. We can't fully work out everything until all the pieces have fallen in their places and we look at it from the final few games perspective. But let's maybe turn our attention to the games that are actually happening right now. So we've got 2 games that are going to be happening ahead of us. First off, we have Aimers Red versus
So close.
Aimers Blue. And look at this. Like,
2 kills?
Look at all the numbers that are in front of us, and the KDA difference, 0.1 between the two average kills, deaths, or the KD ratio. That's just unbelievable. Yeah, these are 2 evenly matched teams, and it makes perfect sense. They're both aimers.
They both are, and yeah, if you guys didn't hear what Walt said, take a quick look at the kills. So Aimers Red have 545, and Aimers Blue have 547. I'm not a mathematician, but those are some pretty close numbers. It's honestly shocking to see that these 2 teams are so close. And to give people a little bit of background, Aimers used to be one team. They kind of split up at the start of this season, maybe it was a little bit before that, and they kind of wanted to make 2 different teams and see how they can kind of compete, with both Atelco leading the red side and Noah leading the blue side. And I just think that this is cool. Like, I have watched a lot of finals. I have seen a lot happen. This is cool. And I think that this is going to be one of the closest matches we're ever going to see. These teams play against each other. They know each other. They're family, quite literally. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know what else to say other than I am beyond excited that I get to be able to watch and cast a match like this.
Absolutely. We do have some map bans coming in as well, so we can see where they're going to be playing. But you're right. These 2 players, especially Atelco and Noax, the brothers, know how each other plays. They know each other. They are constantly around each other. And so we have to see where they're at. We are going to be back at Bernal. You guys are going to be where I am right now, fortunately. And moving on to Cis Horizon. First Cis Horizon map we've seen today. Now, that's exciting.
Absolutely. I love Cis Horizon. I feel like it's surprising that we haven't seen it yet today. It's been very popular throughout the group stage. Of course, it plays completely differently in 3 versus 3 compared to cash out, where you can have, in cash out, you can really influence other cash outs just by virtue of the long sight lines and, taking picks on teams that you have no right to take picks on a lot of the time. And you see a lot of teams splitting up and things. That is not going to happen here. Obviously, we're playing for the 3 versus 3s, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. We are going to see Cis Horizon. Bernal, though, straight up the bat. And Aimers Blue had a far more convincing, I say they had a far more convincing victory on Bernal. They had a victory on Bernal. Aimers Red is the only map we've seen them lose today to the Gamblers.
Oh. Yeah, no, that's a great observation. I think it's going to be quite interesting to see both of these teams go up against it in Bernal, and Sis Horizon followed by it. And I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction here. We're going to see Las Vegas. There's no way that the first and second team don't go absolutely 1-1. I know it. I know we're going to see Vegas. And yeah, I am quite excited to see things get started. One interesting thing about Sis Horizon, and just a little bit of history while we're waiting for to load into the map. Sis Horizon kind of found its following within this scene really early on, mainly because it was the only map that didn't have variations to it. So it kind of became one of the most commonly chosen maps throughout the entire scene. And yeah, even if we look at the breakdown, it was chosen like mostly every single Playday. So with that said, we're getting started on Bernal. Chat, are you a red fan or are you a blue fan? And if you guys are not a fan of either of those colors, well, guess what? You are now. Pick one. Let's follow along. And Jerry, let's get started on Bernal.
You also have the rare choice of picking a second favorite color of orange or pink. It's a real shame. This is the one time that I really despair that we don't have custom team colors quite yet in private matches. But look at this. Aim is Red already the recipient of quite a lot of damage there. Reimka taken out, though, as Shelly goes down. Noex hooked in by Perzon, and the SA-12 will rip and tear into him, but not quite enough. Noex finding a kill onto his opposite number. Robinski going down. Perzon now the last alive on Aimers Red as Roma cleans up Robinski. The better of the two R's, the better of the two lights at the moment as it stands. Perzon just gets torn to pieces, to coins. That is Aimers Blue coming out on top in the first fight.
Yeah, the vault has been tapped by the blue team, and they're going to be pretty close to cash out A. That's not far of a trek at all, and they've even got a gateway, so their whole team will be brought over pretty quick. They're destroying the zip lines, making sure that it takes just a little bit more time for the Aimers Red to get up to their position. We see the Vanishing Bomb in hand. The Aimers Blue are really kind of playing very close to each other. They don't want to spread out. They don't want to split up. They want to take the fight directly on this cash out, which will happen in just a second as Aimers Red make their approach.
We once again have this Vanishing Bomb. They're going to wait for that to come off the glitch, but unfortunately it doesn't because the engage from Aimers Red is far too strong. You could see what Aimers Blue were thinking of there, but Aimers Red just slightly better here, and they found the picks they need. They're going in deep here with that shield. In comes the sledgehammer, though. Rabinski overstepping the mark as Reimka taken down. He's still up and fighting. No, he's not. Perzon finds him. Atelko gets that res. Now it's a 3 versus 1. Surely only a matter of time here as Roma's taken out. Sorry, that's Noax at last alive. And that will be a successful wipe, and they can go for the steal. Aimers Red turn it on its head. I'm surprised they weathered that storm.
Yeah, weathered it pretty well and really didn't have a lot of eliminations going their way either. So interesting that they were able to turn the tides. They got the kills, and we are seeing them set up now as the Aimers Blue get the respawn, and hopefully they respawn close because this cash out is halfway done. So they have one good quick push, potentially two, depending on how this all plays out. But there they are getting set up, getting ready. Atelko running a little bit a ways away from this cash out. Not sure what his plan is, but it seems like his team is following him. They do play very close to each other. They are a little bit closer now. They have a good sight line. I see a glitch barrel in hand by their heavy RPG as well. They're ready to throw it off. Goo going down. There's a glitch going off on the red team.
Oh no.
The whip goes down already. It is a 2 versus 3. Can they hold on? A steal is going off. Glitch barrel in hand as well. Time is running down. Aimers Red are in control of this cash out, but there's only one Aimers Red running alive. They are going to get wiped, but they're not going to have enough time to get the steal. So this does go the way of Aimers Red, but Aimers Blue with the wipe.
Wow. Aimers Red will be very happy with that. I'm surprised that Telko was able to stave them off. It was honestly didn't look like he was posing too much of a threat, but you know, having the Cerberus does just do enough sometimes. Just knowing that they've got that in their hands, wandering around with it. I'm pretty certain Atelko is running the Cerberus here, which is surprising. We've seen him on FAMAS for most of the rest of the season. Obviously, knowing coming in close, coming into this map in Bernal, it's going to be a lot easier. They are running, of course, the SA-12 as well, so shotguns all round, besides the XP, are pretty much a mainstay on the light. We don't really see the Matter or the double barrel very much, especially in 3v3s. Haven't seen anything besides the XP today, in fact. Really popular gun for the light at the moment.
Yep, red barrel in hand, uses winch claw on it. Not sure I would do that but he does throw it away, not really hitting anybody. He knows where the aimers blue are. They are all grouped up, but there's a gateway off to his right. This is going to allow them to kind of traverse around them on the side of the map. But again, we're a little bit at of a standstill. Nobody wants to take this vault because you're going to have to cross a team no matter what. But here is the push for Zone ready to go. RPG going down. Shelly as well. Both teams have the dome shield. They go down as well, and now we're looking for the fight. There is that RPG, and there is the sledge trying to connect with anybody but Ramkey going down in that fight, trying to clean up and look for the next victim, but they want to get their teammate up. Atelko in this fight would be a good person to have, but it looks like Rubinski is being chased around, having to leave this fight, and he's just hanging on with 42 HP. Makes his way over to the vault, but decides to turn around and help out his team. Has a gateway as they're being chased. These teams are right on top of each other. He spots him out in his crosshairs, but having to dip out of this combat. He's trying to get around them, but that bounce pad is going to be lethal for him. We move over to Roma and his team as they spot out Atelko and just delete him, and there's the wipe.
Some of the most enthralling fighting you'll see in the finals, and that was just over a vault. That felt so comparatively meaningless. I mean, that could have been a fight to like decide. That could have been a fight to decide the championship right there. It was so tense. Rubinski, I have to highlight him keeping himself alive so long. The particular moment that he went for that engage at the very start, as we look back at the very first point cap there for a moment, was fantastic. There we go, though. That was his demise. Rubinski eventually hitting that jump pad, maybe a little bit too daring when all those guns are up on the side of Aimers Blue. So we head on now to the cash out. It's been started successfully, of course, by Aimers Blue, and Aimers Red looking to take it from beneath, not bothering with a high ground game here. Of course, they've got that sledge, they've got the winch. They don't really want to get, you know, into those long range engagements.
Yeah, in this
Sorry, they've got the shotgun. I am mistaken. Sledge is on Aimers Blue.
They are now going for the cash out. They're going directly for the steal. They want to hold this if they can, but there is Aimers Blue all swarming the point. Cash out is starting to run out. We're almost halfway there. There is Atelko very low. Perzon very dead as well. And Rubinski trying to clean up any kill, but they are also grouped up that Noah X is able to just delete him. And there is a team wipe. They will have one more opportunity to go for this cash, and I'm curious if they can continue this hold.
Of course, if Aimers Red steal here, then that's game over for Banal, and they claim their own map. But so far, you know, this is the best that they've been doing on this map. We saw them get beaten earlier by Gamblers. They are that one cash ahead, or 125k ahead, I should specify. Like you say, one more fight here. Aimers Blue holding on, and they were very happy to let that fight come to them. They're going to say, we do the same again here. Atelko getting set. He has the jump pads for that mobility. We'll set it up. They go in from above this time around. Aimers Blue waiting in this room, and this will favor the Cerberus. Rubinski needs to be really careful with his life here. Oh, he doesn't know how close he is. And then it goes through the gateway. They follow them all the way up. This is excellent kiting work, though, by Aimers Blue. Down goes Roma in a heap of coins, but Reimka and Noarex find their men. And Reimka follows up with a second overhand swing onto Atelko. That will spell his demise, and we are one apiece here on Banal.
Yeah, and I'm curious if we can look at the scoreboard, because I have a feeling that these teams are pretty close. Yeah, look at that. Aimers Red maybe a little bit behind in the kills from Aimers Blue, but they both have one cash out each, so this is going to go down to this last cash out. I'm curious to see which side will take it. Chat, I've been reading some of your opinions. It seems like some of you definitely are rooting for one team more than another, so show some love for whoever you're excited to win in this next match, because it's all going to come down to this last cash out. We see a teleport go through, and right on top of each other, Atelko just raining hellfire down with that Cerberus. Spots out Noah, going for the res on his teammate, able to get Perzone back up, and is getting that reload on his Cerberus. He is now jumping into the fight, but goes down in that. Sad to see, and there's only one person left on their side. It is now down to a 1 versus 1, I think. Rubinski trying to spot out there heavy. He has him in a corner. He's very low. Can he get him? Sometimes that bounce pad can be lethal. And that's exactly what we just saw there. To guys give you a little bit of an overview too, why is it so bad to jump on a bounce pad like that? Because the second that you start falling down, people with good aim can track you. They can track your trajectory as you start to fall, and that's what we just saw and why it can be so lethal. I've seen 2 times like that happen already in a match like this, and it's really just the wrong move to play.
You really have to know who you're up against as well, because, you know, say for instance that, who was it? It was Remco running away. If he's running away from the sledge heavy or from the shotgun medium, then that's not too big a deal. But you're running away from Rubinski. He can just beam you with that XP. Highest like rate of fire on a gun in this game besides the M11. And a really high DPS. So yeah, he was playing with fire there up against the wrong opposition. Out goes the glitch, but it is just a bait from NoahX on the point, and he teleports away thanks to the preset gateway. And now Amos Blue in a decent position here, set up above their point. Amos Red can try and force the steal here. The engage will come from the jump pad. They're all on top of it. That dome goes down in a cinch. All the kills coming in. Trades back and forth as Rubinski finds one. Rubinski very low though, and Atelko is only a matter of moments away from death here as the frag grenade lands on his light teammate's head. And he's finally put to rest there. Amos Blue, they've done just enough there with the first fight to defend their cash out. Can they keep it rolling?
Ooh, this is so tense. It's so close. It's such a back and forth as well. I don't even know how else to describe this, but there is likely the final push coming up for Amers Red. Can they get on this? Will they have time? Will the spawn gods be nice? And it looks like they were pretty kind to them, and they will start their approach. It's all going to come down to this. They're starting to make their way into the point. They need to get on it. We're looking at maybe 25 seconds left on this cash out. Bounce pad going down, wanting to get on top of this. They're all booked up into this corner, but they go through a gateway, and it's going to stall them just a little bit more time. They need to buy as much time as possible. There goes NoahX. Farazone just tried to kill anybody that is in his crosshair. Ramke going down. They pull it down, the winch, and then on top of it, they goo themselves off. They're not going to have time. They go down, and Amers Blue take the map and the catch. That is going to be the first win on Amers Blue. What a match, Jerry. This is wild.
It is so tight. Every single fight you feel could go either direction. And that's exactly what you want to see in the finals. Look at these frags as well. That was not a timid Bernal. Everyone getting in on the action. 8, 8, and 10 from NoahX, Roma, and Reimke out at the top there. Roma with the real hero play right at the end. The last one standing to make a difference. But, oh, you look at the kills on the side of Amers Red. They do dwindle in comparison. 644 is still pretty healthy. But, yeah, you look at that. I mean, what is that? I think total-wise, almost a double. From Amers Red. Or Amers Blue, rather.
Yeah, 1 kill difference between it being doubled. So that is just wild to see Ramke popping off. No kidding. And then Roma, it just seems like they were chasing them as well. That it was just very composed team play. I am really... See, one thing that's interesting is we're seeing that both teams play really close to each other. They're almost like on top of each other in a group, and both teams are kind of knowing that and they're exploiting that. So, but we also saw them counterplaying for that as well. So we knew that Amers Red were kind of bundled up in a corner, and they knew that. So Amers Blue started the approach, and then they all went through a gateway and just pushed themselves on the other side of the map, and it was just wild. These plays are insane, and yeah, I didn't expect anything else from a matchup like this.
Yeah, we saw a lot of that sort of gateway repositioning of the entire team during the team fight. Right back on the very first series of the day, Amers Blue versus Crutches. If you recall Vegas, it was the Telestration segment that Waltz ran for us. And we will, of course, have more of those during the day. I feel like it's a really exciting development in the production here at ProHub. So I'm glad to be a part of it. I'm glad that Waltz is the one doing it. He's a proper big brain, absolutely right person for the job right there. And we can see here just an update on the bracket that it is Gamblers and Burnt Nuggets that have made their way through to the lower semis. So very impressive from Burnt Nuggets, definitely punching up. Saints 1 getting eliminated is against the run of play, the 4th seed from the season.
Yeah, heartbreaking. Saints 1 has probably some of the most people rooting for them in chat. So that is wild to see that they've done it like that. But hey, we'll take a look at the bracket here again because we are still trying to find out which Aimers team is the true Aimers as we get started on Cis Horizon for the first time today. Chat, let us know. Is it blue versus red? Who's going to come out on top? I can't wait to see.
Good bit of early positioning, clearly a rehearsed move for this particular Vault spawn, as Atelco almost gets caught at the other end of Reimka's sledgehammer. That would have been a very swift exit for the medium. Thankfully, he ducks and dives out of his way. A good RPG hits onto Rybinski. He'll be out of the fight for the next few seconds. So Aimers Red, with their tails between their legs right now, trying to recuperate and find a better engage. Out comes the winch. That's a good one. It does find a Telco with Roma pitching in for that last smidgen of damage. The goo is going to lock the light in place, but the swings just don't connect. Rybinski is alive still. Person taken out as well. So it's 3 versus 2 here, it would seem. There's the wipe. Rybinski finally taken out. It was a 3 versus 1, my apologies. And that is Aimers Blue. They never looked like they were shaken in that fight, quite honestly.
No, and the movement and just getting out of the grips of Reimke was wild. I'm constantly amazed that the movement can be so refined in a game like this, but there it is. Oh, they tried to hit it on the bounce pad and it just missed a little bit. I love cash out manipulation as well in a mode like this. It's just one of the things that makes the finals just so unique. But here it comes. The push is happening. Aimers Red are making their approach, and Aimers Blue have decided to move a little bit of ways away from the point. They want to be where they can drop this a couple of times. So I think they have C4 on it to drop it the first time, and a RPG to possibly drop it the second, and then a DMAT to drop it a third time if they need it. But I think Aimers Red know this because they are going very slow on their push, but they've winch clawed it out back on the other way, and now are going back to the default location and are trying to get a kill. But there is a failed bonk as Aimers Red gets 2 kills right there, bringing it all down to just their last person, Roma. Roma getting a kill, but can he survive as they run away from each other, all down to a 1 versus 1. They're very low, chasing each other around. But there is the he got it from the regen. Are you kidding me? What am I watching? Roma, you god, sit down. Enjoy the break as the other team gets the respawn back up.
Absolutely no right winning that fight. And you could see Rybinski just having to reload there, costing him. Roma was 1 HP for a good, well, it must have been exactly 7 seconds. That's how long it takes that regen to kick in for a light. And oh my goodness, did it make a difference. Wow, oh, wow, oh, wow. I think that Aimers Red did so smartly to pull that away. They were in such a good position, but now I don't even know if they have good time to try and force Aimers Blue into a position where they can't defend this point, because they've got the time on their side. They've got the gas canisters ready to go. It's going to have to be a full dive, goo, dome, everything, the kitchen sink thrown at this cash out, but they can't stick the steal, and they get the kills off the back of it. Roma just padding his stats in the meantime with a further kill for himself, but everyone claims one that time around for Aimers Blue.
Wow, this is a wild matchup. I didn't expect it to be kind of this one-sided. Look at this. Roma with 7 kills, Noah X and Remke with just 1, but the scores really kind of do show that it's starting to lean to one side. But that gas right on the point, we're watching this replay, that gas was so clutch. It landed the exact spot that they needed it to, and it just built this giant cloud that just blocked off and stopped the push. And yeah, that's smart, that's perfect. Anybody wanting to learn a little bit from what you're watching, take notes, because these games are exactly the ones to learn from.
So we see Person switching up onto the Lewis gun here. We haven't seen it really, you know, make the impact they'd hoped for so far. Mind you, the same could be said of the rest of Aimers Red. Maybe feeling that burn, not having your regular light in the team, it just maybe shows in these matchups where you're up against sort of equivalent opposition or better. Aimers Blue really stamping down right now and giving us a sort of a favorite in this contest, which I wasn't expecting to say at any point. Person finds that RPG onto Roma after some initial damage dealt by Rybinski. A great engage there, as this one seems to be going the way of Red for once. Person finally gets that Lewis gun kill. Can he make it a second? They're chasing down Roma, his last alive at the time, as Norex taken out Telco, finding Reimko as well in the kill feed right there. So 3 versus 1, and wisely Roma has decided to depart and try and get the coins. Rubinski just stuck a little bit behind that barricade, but it will be deposited in due course. Out it goes. Look at that, flying out into the road.
Yep, and this is now one of the most challenging places to push in to get the cash out. What they've just done is they've brought it off into the side of the map, so there's only one spot that they can kind of approach from, and basically they're able to see the approach nearly every spot. So we're seeing them now set up. Aimers Red are in a really good spot for this push. I wouldn't believe it if anybody's able to kind of steal this out from underneath them, but here they go.
No.
Here is the push. They spotted each other out directly. I don't think that they expected Aimers Red to be right there. There's a dome shield going off as they are very low. Ramkey low as well, going down. It is down to Atelko and Rubinski. Now the healing going off and the res. All of Aimers Red are here and they're chasing down this last member. They are all on top of each other, but they don't see it. And they finally do because Roma decides to kill himself to get the wipe and give his team one more chance to go for this cash out.
Yeah, absolutely the right call. And we could see, you know, Aimers Blue and Aimers Red were both very surprised, as you mentioned, by that engage. Aimers Blue really do have to go for kills in this situation, obviously, because of that position of the catch out. So, yeah, one more chance here, and they just need a bit more of a read. This is one of the reasons we've seen Sonar Grenade be so popular during the season, getting that engage tool. But, of course, there is the double-edged sword that if you know, then they know that you know. So
yep.
Most teams just trusting their gut instead, trying to do that recon the old-fashioned way. And we've got about maybe 25 seconds left on this cash out. Aimers Blue still haven't made a dent in Aimers Red yet, so it looks likely that Aimers Red will be holding onto it. Remke sets up with that barricade, tries to get the steal started. There's a dome as well. Atelko being shot in the back. This could be huge from Remke. I think he manages to steal this. He does. No. It's a turn. It flips. But is the wipe going to be successful in response? Not quite yet. They haven't bought themselves enough time. Aimers Blue, have they just run away with this series? I think they have, Rio. That's it. They've done it.
We built this up to be such a clash and such a guaranteed to go to 3 maps, but what the hell did we just witness? Aimers Blue popped off like nothing else that I have just seen. That was exciting. That was tense. That was heartbreaking if you're an Aimers Red fan. That was wild. I did not expect to see one Aimers team kind of have such a head over another one. That was great, Jerry. That was fun.
that last second seal from Rainbow.
Right.
Unbelievable. What, two kills in the match? Doesn't matter. You put the perfectly placed barricade, the perfectly placed dome, and the steal, and then the support from behind. I didn't catch whether it was Roma or Noah X, but either way, the support from behind to take out Atelko, who's chasing down that player, it made all the difference. Such a perfectly coordinated steal, and we get to see it again right here. Atelko getting shot in the back there. That's the light.
Right there,
That's
yeah.
Roma. Roma with the hero play, protecting his heavy while he gets the steal, and the other two players on the side of Aimers Red just a bit late to the party.
Yeah, and that is an interesting thing to point out because we see that they were playing a little bit far away from the point, and it made it where usually that can work out in your favor. Like being a little bit of ways away makes it where you have time to rush the enemy team when they kind of come into it. But unfortunately, it just kind of works out like that as well. And that was a wild last second steal. Yeah, I'm speechless. So we're going to throw it over to Waltz, who is watching, and I'm sure he has some thoughts on what we just saw.
Yeah, I am blown away by that matchup. That was crazy. Roma was absolutely popping off that second match on Sis Horizon. I have some notes actually. I took some. I brought you another kind of breakdown of that first cash out fight as well.
Go for it.
Roma was just destroying. He had this incredible moment, but there was also some really neat setup. So kind of honestly, it did feel like a little bit of a stomp, but there were some really impressive moments here. As I do have kind of this. So we have this video that I want to break down with that first fight because I think there were some really interesting things that both teams were doing. But you can see how Aimers Blue with no axe were just kind of on the front side of it a little bit. They were just being a little bit better, a little bit quicker about their movements. They were just that hair's edge better. And that's the thing, when two teams are so closely matched, if you're just a little bit better, it's going to look like a stomp sometimes. And Roma definitely was my standout performance for this one as well. So that was my big takeaway. As soon as we get into that scene and we can kind of show that off, then I want to do that. But yeah, I was just mostly blown away by him. That's my big, and also Rame as well with the sledge was just kind of it's really amazing to see these guys pull out different weapons and really kind of go off with it. Perzon was definitely rocking the Lewis gun, which I thought was pretty cool. Not something we see a lot.
Yeah.
But against a sledge, it's just in those kind of close encounter areas where you're going to be doing close quarter combat, it just doesn't quite work out the same way. And so anyone that says Cis Horizon is a long range map, I think that you can just point them to this match and just say, hey, look at this. You know, like this is obviously a sledge paradise.
It was a strange one as well, because it didn't feel like the sledge had a massive impact in terms of kills. Obviously, only 2 kills, but he's a presence, right? And in those moments where you have to steal and you have to defend the box, you're drawing people towards you. You know, there's nothing you can do. You have to get in close to deal with someone that's shielded by a barricade, shielded by a dome, shielded by goo from all these angles. So it works, you know, if you make the map smaller for yourself, then you can run a sledge. You can do what you like. And Walt, I think you're finally ready to show us just a couple of breakdowns here on that first point of Cis Horizon, where Amers Blue somehow clung on.
Yeah, no, they did such a good job of this one. So let's kind of set the stage here. This is our first cash out. Amers Blue currently in control of the point, and there's not a lot of high ground to hold on this point of Cis Horizon. If you're on high ground, you're basically on even footing. So what they've done is they've set up something really interesting here. You'll see as we kind of set this up, you'll notice, so we kind of pay attention here. They're set up way off to the right. Now, normally when people are set up like this, it's because they have a jump pad and they're going to run a DMAT. They actually have, and you can see this little arrow that I have pointing, there's a gateway. Well, you can't see it, but it's high in the air, and that's going to come into play in just a minute. Because I don't know if they've spotted this, but Amers over here in the orange, they're going to play a very nice play. They're going to grab that. They're going to winch it far away. They're going to try and keep things off to the side. And so we're coming across here, and we can see, first off, nice play by orange. The goo is in the position, but you can see they were dropping from the sky right there, from that gateway that we can't even see. It was so high. They're now on an equal position and actually have a little bit of high ground here. So that pre-thought, knowing that that cash out could go back into the same position, has already set them up for success. Now let's see how the rest of the fight breaks down as we kind of slow this down a little bit as we move into it. So kind of about half speed here as we push in. You're going to watch here, Atelko jumps very aggressively up onto this point. And this is the key moment right here. As we back up just a hair. So this is the key moment right here. Because Atelko jumps up, he wants to have eyes on where they're coming from. But because of how quickly the side of Pink was able to get in position, he is now exposed to 2 people beaming him down. Roma and Noax have perfect sight lines. Atelko disappears in a fraction of a second. Meanwhile, Reimke does not care if Atelko is there. He knows there is one job for him and one job only. He is running across this goo wall. He is going for the other heavy, and he just has to get some damage in. At this point, he knows he's dead. He just has to do some damage. And so we see how the rest of the fight transpires. Atelko, gone in a second. Reim gets a single hit on this heavy, and that is a half health heavy now that he has to worry about. That is crucial for the rest of the map, because let's see how this transpires. As we already know, they held on to this, but it's now Roma against 2 half-health targets. If Perzon is full health here, that changes things completely. I don't have a lot of stuff because this is just masterful. He's dashing in the air, finishes off Perzon while he's hanging in the air with those dashes, and then the reload from Robinski. The reload at the exact wrong time gives Roma the chance to heal, survive just long enough to get that win. It is perfection. It is beautiful stuff.
In the moment, it is just one of those, like, yeah, your job is to analyze, you know, the fine intricacies and all, you know, the goos, the gateways, the domes, and everything that came out during that fight. And they did make a big difference. Sometimes just having that player that can do that and bail you out in a 1v2, you can't analyze that. You know, we got to go into his perspective. We got to see his shots that he was making, and just see how he does it, because that really did bail them out. And then, you know, Reimke with an equally heroic moment on the last point, and Roma was a part of that too. So yeah, unbelievable map from the light player on the side of Amers Blue. And of course, we haven't really mentioned this yet, Rio, but this is of course booked Amers Blue a spot in the grand final, which will be a best of 5. Amers Red dropping down to the lower final now.
And let's check out our bracket, because we have some major developments. And yeah, you're right. Everyone really kind of doing their part here. Interesting thing that I want to point out here, because this is, we talked about the points, and this is a heartbreaking moment because Crutches were 1 best of 1 away from making it to the championship. But with the points as of right now, I don't think they're there. I think they are just about 100 points shy of passing Gungala. So Crutches they got so close. They made such a lower bracket run, but as the points show, now we're going to get confirmed points when we get into our next couple matches to see exactly how this shakes up. But I'm pretty sure they just fell a hair close. We'll get confirmation. But like I mentioned before, the last match now, the last battles, it's going to come down to whether Aimers Red can make it back to that grand final to see whether or not they get that first and second position.
That's so few points. 20 points.
So few points.
It's just wild how it all played out. All the points, all the cash out kills, the steals, the wins, they've all landed here. And I think that one of the things we mentioned earlier, kind of heartbreaking to see that Saints 1 are no longer there. They have fallen off the bracket. It is just sad to see, kind of just somebody that like we would normally see a lot of people rooting for in chat. And yeah, they didn't make it through. So it's going to be wild as we get into these next matches. But I think where do we go next in that bracket? Do we know kind of what our next matchup will be?
We're looking to go to the lower finals. So we will find out exactly who is going to face off against Aimers Red. But of course, that game between Burnt Nuggets and Gamblers is taking place right now. So we do have to wait for that to finish, and then we'll get on into the lower final. So perhaps we'll have a slightly longer break, but don't go anywhere because, of course, we have the lower final and the grand final to settle things once and for all. And I don't know, will Aimers Red make it back up? We'll just have to wait and see. Don't go too far. We'll be back with you shortly.
This is everything, Mickey. They need to get there in time. They do. They stop the steal. 50 reload. He's able to do it before you get that super.
Oh, the RPG on the Skilber. BMO absolutely beaming right now, finishing off the rest of the team.
Lightly over to the sideline here. The gateway has been placed. They come up from above.
Play Commit doing so much, just controlling this team fight.
Point, you have it, you've got it done.
There's no way.
He dashes around, look at the movement.
Aim Point taking down a lot of players there. Great use of the goo gun. Oh, unbelievable techers.
Gungala, they try to jump in. Oh, they do. The team that hits.
Try and go for the steal, and the winch is huge. It doesn't work out though.
He can't do anything yet. No, he still takes it. One versus three.
This isn't just a game. This is TNT. Welcome to the jungle and welcome to 8 Squad's Thursday Night Throwdown.
Featuring the game's top talent, pick up games where chimps become champions.
Thursday nights 8 to 10 p.m. every week, only on 8 Squad. Catch us live on air on Twitch at twitch.tv/8.
In the world of sports, every second counts. Every move matters. That's where a Spooze comes in, the sports beverage designed for champions. With a Spooze, it's simple as pop, pour, perform. Packed with electrolytes and essential nutrients to keep you hydrated and energized, Spooze is your go-to drink for peak performance. Whether you're just carrying the vault or securing the winning cash out, Spooze is there to fuel your victory. Its unique formula is scientifically designed to boost your stamina and focus. Spooze, for those who dare to excel. Pop, pour, perform.
The real world can be unfriendly, misleading, confusing. But your world doesn't have to be. Reality Shield will protect you, cutting out the noise, making the world perfect. We do not censor Gmo.
It's showtime!
thought you just had, where did it come from? And was it even yours? Our new Series 2000 effectively suppresses third-party influence and eccentricity, outperforming our competitors within the standard deviation of conformity. With the Series 2000, your mind stays in control. Via, we as one.
You know, June, every time I think I've seen it all, the finals proves me wrong. What a play!
That's one for the highlight reel, Scotty.
The next chapter in this epic saga is about to unfold. A storm of epic clashes is brewing this season of the finals!
The stars. Distant. Watching. When will they arrive? Will your family be disintegrated first or last? Will your family dog become their leader? With Holtau's alien invasion insurance, you don't have to worry. Alto, we got your back.
Absorbe ce que c'est. Monde, monde, pour misérable et fortuné. Absorbe ce que tu désires devenir, c'est ce que tu es. Alors, absorbe, absorbe.
Can it be trusted? Holtau's Sun Insurance will have you covered if the unimaginable happens and the light goes out. Holtau, brighter than ever.